How about now? We got it? Hey everybody, sorry about that. We had a little bit of issue with the mic this morning, but should be good now. Sorry guys. I tell you, every time I restart the stream, and we didn't change anything from last week. Yeah, sorry, we didn't change anything from last week. All we did was turn it off and turn it back on, and then it just wouldn't connect. So one day we will get this right. And I was even playing around and testing beforehand. So computer went to sleep, came back on as I came out here to go live, and now it's playing up. So it is what it is. But hey everybody, thanks for coming and checking out the stream today. Again, just trying to stay consistent, trying to get out here every Sunday and do some things to move the needle a little bit towards completion of projects. Thunder Keys is exactly right. We're going to take a step away from the box turtle this week. Not because I don't want to, but because the trident that the box turtle is going on is starting to mess around. Essentially, I'm getting some frequency interference from the cartographer, so it's yelling at me and shutting down the machine. Also, the Pi is getting some undervolts and whatnot, so it's not very consistent. And so instead of watching something painful and watch me fumble my way through a solution there, decided to play with something new that we got in the garage today, and we'll check that out instead. So have the morning off. Yeah, appreciate you for being here, Thunder Keys. I know you came in for a box turtle, but we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're talk about something new, the machine that is taking the internet by storm. The secret box, yes, JPP, the secret box. But how's everybody? You more here for me? I appreciate that, man. I'm more here for you guys. I think if nobody showed up to the stream, I don't know that I could feel motivated enough to continue to talk for 2 or 3 hours to talk through what we're doing. But yeah, we got 9 people on. Thanks for joining us. Trying to go through the chat and see who's all here. Sparks on Tap, welcome. Thank you for showing up. Pop away, I'm seeing you. Havoc 846. We got Boothie as always. Thanks for being here. 3D Wolf is here. That's great. We got the usual suspects. That's awesome for a Sunday morning. Like I said, we're going to unbox this thing, so let me flip you over to the desk. And we're back with audio. Yeah, so I think I'm going to have to do that for each and every scene as we go. So if I forget when I swap cameras, I was not prepared. I had to re-add the audio device. And when I swap scenes, it's not on there. So if I forget, just yell at me in the chat like you did, and we'll fix it up real quick. It takes about 3 seconds. So again, always some stream problems. We're going to get through it though, so thanks guys. Yes, every scene needs the mic. But again, we're making this real time, and real time it started to fail, so we had to flex. Anyway, Elegoo Centauri Carbon. This is the one that you've probably seen on the internet quite a lot. Seems dumb. Is this the OBS? No, it's Streamlabs actually. They work very much the same. So if you don't have one thing set up in every scene, it's not going to be there unless you create duplicates of each scene, and then you have to rename and configure and all that. Either way, not talking about stream stuff today. We're talking about this guy. An old TV. This guy? It kind of looks like an old TV. The one that you're seeing up here, this is just a monitor I got. This thing is like, I think $46 I got that for, and it's just to be able to see what you guys are talking about and to control the stream a little bit. There's a stream deck down below, and then I also have, I also got the phone that I can use as a giant stream deck. Actually kind of works a little better than the original Stream Deck. I have more buttons and more options up here, so I like the phone a little better, but the Stream Deck gives me quick access to apps, so I can open up things quickly. Yeah, audio is the most annoying, for sure. Things are not connected when I turn the computer on. They just don't connect, and that's kind of what we saw today. Elegoo looks like an old TV. It kind of does. It barely fits on the desk. This is kind of a small workbench. I think it's only maybe 30 inches, 32 inches deep. And you'll see it takes up most of that. I have the feet on the desk, and there's just a little bit hanging off. I do have the toolbox back there, so I can't push it all the way through. It just clears the shelf and the light. But it's roughly the same size as an X1 Carbon or a P1P or a P1S, if you're familiar with one of those. Making it to the big time, getting the latest by Elegoo. Pop away, I'll tell you. I bought this one. So Elegoo did not sponsor this whatsoever. I got in the first 10, 15 seconds pre-order, and I got one of the first, I don't know, 100 or so that they had available. It got here roughly a week later. So it actually arrived on Tuesday afternoon, evening time frame, maybe Wednesday. I don't really remember. Either Tuesday or Wednesday it showed up, and I left it in the box until last night. My daughter, my youngest, came out to help me unbox it. She's been wanting to do that for the last couple of days. And so we took it out of the box. I put it up here on the bench, and we haven't touched it other than that. So we're going to open it up together, and we'll see if we can get some prints on it and let you guys ask questions. Take a look. Stream Deck and Elgato's audio platform makes life easier. It does. I'll have to check that out after stream today, and we'll see how we can integrate that to make things easier. You were wrong when you say it was going to be a while with it being pre-ordered. No, JPP, I don't think you were wrong saying it's going to be a while. I was just lucky enough to get in on the first couple that they had in the States. So again, maybe that number is 100, maybe 150, I don't know. But I was able to get in really quick as soon as they launched it, got the Carbon, and then it shipped same day. After that initial batch sold out, anything that you order now, including with the links in the stream, in the description, those are going to be pre-order, so you won't see those until April timeframe is what I understand. Pushed out until July now. Well, I mean, they're kind of like the new graphics cards that came out. Everybody wants one, so as soon as those pre-orders are consumed, then, I mean, you're just gonna have to wait. So you gotta be quick. Yeah, so we'll start unwrapping this thing, and we'll see what happens with chat. If you guys want to see anything specific, go ahead and put it in there. But it did come taped up inside of a box. The box was well packaged, even though it was a little bit thrashed. Let's switch you back to the face cam, and I'll show you the box. So unless I just have really bad people that are delivering my stuff, there's some expectation that your box will be torn up. So putting you on face cam, this is the condition of the box. So it doesn't have puncture holes or anything like that, but there's some ripping on the side. The box was crushed here a little bit. No holes, so I was worried about that. And so I unboxed it specifically to check it for dents and damage on the inside, and it was fine. The worst thing I had was kind of that there. That's like a puncture of some kind, but it didn't go all the way through. And the box was generally just thrashed all the way around, and it was landing on my doorstep upside down. So it was upside down like that on the doorstep. So UPS was the one that dropped it off to me, and they are the ones to blame for this. That kind of sucks, but maybe your delivery service is a little better. Either way, it was well packaged on the inside, lots of foam surrounding the entire printer. roughly an inch. So maybe, I don't know, 15 millimeters of foam around the edges. And then it had foam on the bottom, which is a couple of inches on the bottom and then a few inches on the top. So it was well protected, or as protected as it could be. And it's just the shipping service was not the nicest. But it was then wrapped in plastic, so if it did get any sort of rain on it or whatever, it would be protected, and that was taped closed. So I just grabbed the plastic, pulled it out of the box, took the foam off, and cut the tape open. But this is that. We'll see if we can't get the plastic out without dropping the printer on the floor. I'll tell you, it is pretty heavy. When I was moving around yesterday, I'd say it's probably a good 50 pounds or so. So it feels sturdy. Your first two box turtles were thrown on the ground in front of you by the delivery driver? Ouch. At least they weren't assembled though. So anything that could have been thrown hopefully wasn't damaged. I'm starting to see a glare from that Trident. Trident has LED skirts on it, and those skirts are reflecting in the glass. So we're gonna do that, kind of hide that a little bit so it's not so distracting. Cool. So here we go, first peel. So satisfying. That does not, that's glass, so sounds like tempered glass. It's very similar to the X1. Here's another peel. So satisfying. The magic peel, yeah, it looks like we get to do a few of these. Two on the glass and then another one. That handle, in my opinion, this handle, I prefer the latch part of this on this side to open that. I may flip that around. It looks like I can. There are two screws here. So to just turn that over, I don't know, maybe I'm just used to the one on my X1 Carbon, but the door does close with kind of a, almost like a magnet. And there's the magnet there. So that's nice. The X1 doesn't have that. It's not as strong, at least. Get rid of that. All right, there's a couple boxes in here. Up top, this foam was on top. They had the glass. Like I said, there was a couple inches of foam on top of this thing. The glass was in that foam, and then this cover was on top. Looks like good magnetic force. It is. That's a pretty beefy magnet right there. Here we go, some more peeling. How about that? Ooh, don't drop it. Haven't even used it yet. What's up, Low Sync? Thanks for coming in, man. We're peeling the plastic off the Elegoo right now. It does look like a good value for $2.99, Boothie. I did not think initially when I was seeing it on the internet and heard about it, there was some coverage of it before it was released at a trade show, I think TCT Asia, one of those trade shows a couple of months ago. And it looked good back then, but I thought it was gonna be another clone. I thought it was gonna be like $5.99 and cost more than it actually does at $2.99. And so with that said, I wasn't sure I would be on board with it, but as you know, I've been wanting another bamboo workhorse type printer to help me keep pace with all the projects I got going on. And looking at a P1, that's like 700 bucks, 569 or something. Here, let's see. Bamboo Lab. All right, if I wanted to get a, let's see, just a P1, I don't know that an X1 is absolutely necessary, but I do like an enclosure. So the P1 S is the enclosed version, and that one runs for just the printer $629. For the combo, it's $829. And the combo comes with the AMS. So apples to apples, $629 would be the relevant cost for the Bambu Lab P1S, and that's of today. And this is $299. So I can get 2 of these for the cost of one P1S, and then still have $30 left over to get filament. This seemed like the better buy at $299. Plus, it was available if you could get it in quick enough, and I was able to do so. So I think this is probably the better purchase right now if you're just looking for a workhorse machine that's affordable. Is it running Clipper? I think so. I think it's its own version of it, just kind of like the Bambu Lab, how it runs its own customized firmware. So it's not exactly Clipper. I don't think you can modify it. I've tried my best to not watch reviews of other people. I've seen a few though, and from what I understand, it's not running Clipper. Yeah, and it's got its own skin of Orca Slicer, which I think is dumb. So I'll probably copy those over to Orca and see if I can slice with that. I don't know, I would expect that the community will crack this thing pretty quickly and we'll figure out a way to modify it. I'm looking forward to that. I've already downloaded a few mods. There are hinges that you can get already that open this to 270 degrees instead of just slightly more than 90 there. So it's probably like, I don't know, 120 or so, which I think is okay for most, but I do like the door to fly all the way up against the side of the printer. So I will be putting those 180 degree hinges on there. There's a few others, like a riser for the lid so that you don't have to remove the glass just to print PLA. You can just open some vents. So I'll be printing that as well. There's also a better spool holder that I saw, and then what else? There's probably going to be hula feet for this at some point. I think those feet sort of feel like the size of the ones on the Bambu, and I do have a hula kit that I can print and use parts for, and maybe we'll put it on this guy. So already thinking about mods, already thinking about ways to upgrade this and change a few things. USB port on the front screen goes here from the photos I saw. Filament sensor, we'll take a 360 to the outside real quick. So on this, what would be the right side of the machine, that's where you're gonna put your spool holder in here. It does have the run out sensor. It's fine. I think just running out is fine. I wish it had a, I don't know that it doesn't, but I would hope, and it doesn't look like it has a motion sensor. So if you do get a jam or a clog, this doesn't look like one that would tell you that you had that. Been looking at the hula feet for the +4. You should do it, JPP. Hula feet I have on two Vorons and my Bambu Lab. Does it make a difference? I don't know. I guess if you had a wobbly shelf or a table or something, then yes. My shelving is that industrial shelving you get at Costco. That stuff is pretty rock solid and heavy, and it doesn't move all that much. So I think it's fine. Let me move this just a touch here. Cool. Poop chute. I'll be honest with you. I don't know why this exists if this is only a single color. So if that is the case, maybe there's going to be an AMS sort of thing that comes with this. But I don't see any place that I would be able to plug that in like you would a typical AMS. And then with it being closed source, I couldn't do something like a box turtle on this either. So I'm not really sure why there's a poop chute on this one. Looks part ready for the box turtle. It does, Boothie. I would love to put a box turtle on this, specifically a 3-lane. I think a 3-lane would be perfect. I don't do a lot of 4-color stuff. I do more filament swapping than I do multicolor. And so even a 2-lane would be fine with me, like a night owl would be fine with me, but I don't see a port to be able to connect it anywhere. So this poop chute doesn't make sense to me. There's venting here. This looks like a chamber vent. So it brings cold air in and then blows it. It is a blower style. This is an axial fan, so like an exhaust. Normal plugs on this side. Left side of the machine is bare. There's nothing here, but I did see an upgrade / mod that you can add on to hold your lid and your extra build plates and whatnot on here, so I will be able to do that. Havoc 846, confirmed AMS coming later this year. That's great to hear. I don't know where it's going to plug in and be controlled from. So I could put it up here, but where's the port to plug in the, I don't know, power for motors for that thing or whatever it is, unless it runs through the USB on the front. So I'd be curious to see how that works out. If they do release something and it works pretty good and looks pretty good, I might pick it up. The cabinets you're using pretty sturdy, but the printers are still sitting on glass. Can't hurt to lessen the vibrations against the glass. Yeah, for sure. Primes the nozzle on filament loads by pooping. Yes, that's what I understand as well. I'm just saying that I don't know that it's necessary to do that. I have several Vorons over here. They prime with a prime line. They don't poop. So it just seems like more of a waste of filament. Or again, like Havoc was saying, it is to prepare for whatever AMS they're going to release. But we'll see how that goes if it happens. Let's turn this around some more without knocking everything off the desk. It is heavy. Pretty hefty machine here. Hey Clownhammer, morning. Thanks for coming in. We're unboxing the, I dropped something. We're unboxing the Elegoo Centauri Carbon today. Let me see something here. All right. Yeah, we got all the people. Rob C, sorry if I missed you earlier. You love the companies that think ahead. I think so too. If I can release something with an upgrade path, kind of like Prusa does, we know that Prusa is going to release extra capability for their machines. I don't know why others haven't adopted that as much. I'm definitely a modifier. I'm definitely an upgrade type of person. So if I can take something that is already existing that I own and then make it better by upgrading it or updating it when things get older, I would much rather do that. And if that's the case with this Elegoo, I'm on board. All right, so I need to take this off so that we can take the foam out the top. So it's packed in here very well. It's pretty thick foam. So that thickness was what was on the bottom of the machine as well. So the whole thing was sitting on that. Even though my box was thrashed, having that peace of mind that the foam was really good made me feel better about it. All right, first big box out. We'll open that here in a second. Tool head is here. Ooh, that doesn't sound great. Did you guys hear that scream? I think maybe that was just the box rubbing on the linear rods. Here, let me tip this up just a touch so you guys can see what I see. There are linear rods in here, so these are steel. I do like that better than I like it on the X1 Carbon. I am constantly cleaning the carbon rods on the Carbon. And there was some concern early on when those things first released that those carbon rods would be non-replaceable and then they would wear over time. I haven't necessarily seen that to be true as far as the wear, but I know for sure that I am definitely cleaning the dust off of them a lot. Yeah, it was foam squeaking. Cleaning the dust off of the carbon rods a lot, and I'm seeing a lot of artifacting in my prints recently, and that's even after input shaping. That's even after significant maintenance where I am cleaning that thing every month. I'm cleaning it every time it yells at me, and I think it's probably time just to replace the gantry on that thing, although I can't replace the Y rails on it. Bed power wires, are they going to be pinched or can they get snagged? They look fine. So it comes in from this bottom corner and it comes kind of up and over, and then it loops into a bracket that is zip tied here. This looks like it is much better routed than what is on the X1 Carbon, in my opinion. I've had to replace the bed on my Carbon. After a couple of months, it started having, I don't know, wire breakage issues inside, so it was not heating to the expected rate. It would throw the error, shut down the machine. Bamboo sent me an entire new bed based on having the warranty. My machine has been out of warranty now for almost 2 years. I was one of the early adopters on Kickstarter, number 440. So I was one of the first people to get an X1 Carbon, and mine is original for the most part. The only thing I've had to do under warranty has been replace the bed. Of course, you know, hot ends and fans and things like that, but I maintain it pretty well, and that has benefited me in the long run. I've got over 4,500 hours, almost 5,000 hours on that machine since launch, and it's been my most reliable out of all of the things that I own. So here in a bit, let me see if I got 1, 2, 3 blocks somewhere. I'm gonna prop this machine up so you guys can see. All right, so prop this up. I have the camera up sort of high, and it's preventing from getting a good angle. So we'll just angle the machine a little bit. It's probably easier. More foam. I thought that was an extra box, but no, it's just a laminated foam cardboard piece. And there's the whole thing. So that's pretty simple. There's some foam in the poop chute. Pull that out, and that's that. It's pretty easy. There does seem like there are bed hold downs in there, like there was on the X1. If you have one, you'll know that they bolt the bed to the floor for shipping, and there are red stickers on here to tell you to take them out. We haven't looked at a single instruction. This is kind of me understanding what I need to do. As I'm looking at this, I know that I need to take the cardboard off and the foam out. I know that I need to unbolt the bed from the floor. If you're new to buying these kinds of machines, or this is your first 3D printer, don't forget that. I'm not saying you're going to break something, but you could. They definitely took a lot of inspiration from the X1. YGK 3D just put a video on the X1 bed and cable problem. He did Havoc, and I watched that one. His process that he did on those 3 machines is the exact same process I had to do on mine. It is fiddly. It took me like an hour, hour and a half to get through it. You have to really kind of depin some cables just to fit them back through the place that the bed is cable tied to for strain relief. And that was a pain in the ass. So I just made that hole bigger by removing it. And I did not depin my cables, and it works fine. I just zip tied it in a different place. It has a pooper, but does it have a cutter? We'll find out. It looks like there's a cutter right here. So there's a small lever right there. I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in for you. Sorry, I can't see what's going on. We'll zoom in as close as we can. There we go. We'll move you up just a touch. So this is the lever that seems to be the cutter. And there's right here, there's a knob or something that sticks out. And so I'm thinking that the head comes over, touches, and then moves forward to depress that cutter. So the opposite corner of where the bamboo would do it. Bamboo does the same thing over on this side. LED does it on this side. You got to be just different enough to not be in trouble. So that's what we're looking at. All right, we have removed all 3 from the bed. This looks like the Z motor back there. And so the bottom is covered, unlike the bamboo where you can feel the belt. And the bamboo uses a single belt to go to all 3 lead screws. I'm thinking this does the same. I don't see any other motors. I just see the one. And I am guessing that there's a belt. We can take the bottom off and look at that if people are interested. But I think right now I want to just make sure I have all the stuff off. So it is a two-sided plate. So this one says optimized for PLA, heat bed temp 30C. So this is more like your cryo grip style plate where you can use a low bed heat to be able to print PLA. Then you have another side that says it's for more high temp. So your PLA, TPU, ABS, PETG, carbon fiber, textured PEI. And so your adhesion gets 3 stars on this side. Adhesion on here gets 5 stars, but for a single material. So depending on what you're making and what you're printing with as far as material, make sure you're using the right side. I prefer a textured finish on all of my prints. I think it hides that bottom layer line as much as possible. So I'm probably gonna stick with that side. Just pull that sticker off of there. What did it say? PLA specific on a fine texture plate isn't ideal due to enhanced adhesion, which may cause difficulty removing the model. PLA specific plate on a fine textured plate. That doesn't make sense to me. I think translation is screwing with my brain. But we plan to use, at least I do, the textured side of that mostly, so we'll just install it back that way and then take a look at what's in this other box over here. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other foam, so I'm just gonna move this out of the way so we can take a look at what's in here. Let's clean up the desk just a bit. And I got some extra M3 screws now, that's great. So there's typical user manual in here. Probably should have looked at that first. And then you have a user guide that explains basically what we just did. Take the top off, take the foam and the box out of there, remove the 3 screws from the bottom, we already did, and then install the touch screen, which we're going to do right now. It's going to run through a self-check procedure. I'll get you guys close in on the screen or the tool head, whichever you prefer, and we'll just chat while that's happening. I've heard that that takes a while, up to roughly 30 minutes, but we'll see how it goes. User manual. I like pictures in mine. There seem to be lots of pictures to tell you where things go. So there's a QR code for tutorials. That would be super helpful for... I did get one. Thanks for coming in, Zombie. Good morning on a Sunday. And that's good to see for beginners, because if you don't know a lot about 3D printing, it would be useful to go to resources that can help you out. So I do like that. Lots of photos, IKEA style, showing you what to do. We go through menu operation next. Get back to the box turtle while calibrating. Hey, we could. I need to flash the board. I need to build a CAN cable, and I need to install the cutter still. So maybe we don't get to the box turtle, but we can talk about it. Slicing software, yeah. So typical user manual in there. We'll put that stuff out of the way. Iconic Fab, thanks for coming in. Oh, speaking of box turtles, Boothie, Iconic Fab has been doing one and putting their own spin on that, and it's looking pretty good from what I've seen on Twitter. So, good job, Iconic Fab. Spool holder, we'll go ahead and install that. It goes on the side and clicks in with a twist, just like so. Standard power cable. I've got one already pre-positioned over there that I'll just use, so we'll save this for later. It's not wirelessly powered, so if you're joining late, there's an extra power cord over there. Comes with glue stick, sample spool of filament. There's an SD card in there. Thanks, doing your best, dude. You're doing great. I love your stuff. I have your press, your heat set press, and then I don't have it immediately in front of me, but your I forget the name of it. The rig that you can mount your control board onto, and then a power supply and all that stuff, and kind of have a benchtop testing rig. I love that. I've built 3 of them so far, and thank you for doing that release. that thing has been super helpful. All right, a couple extra blades, scraper blades. Some rapid PLA, enough to almost not be useful. Toolkit, what's that? Flathead, couple Allen keys, and a Phillips screwdriver. Closing in on the 200. Make sure to smash the sub button. Absolutely, 3D Wolf. Zombie Hedgehog his. I've never understood their stuff. I got you. I don't want to offend. I have things like Ashley, right? Could be a boy, girl name. And you don't know. And so I feel bad when I call people the wrong thing, so I tend to do their, if I'm not sure. So anyway, glue stick, which I will never use. It is Elegoo branded, but I'd never use glue stick. I think it's gross. I like Vision Miner or Magigoo. I have both, and I use both. I will never use glue stick. What is this? Surgical needle to clear clogs. We're probably going to need this USB key, and there comes an extra wiper in there. So we'll take that out. We're going to need that here in a bit. Don't need the wiper just yet. Put all the rest of this extra parts in here. And then quality control certificate. We should probably hang on to that. And then some grease. So probably for the lead screws. That's nice. I like to use, what is it? Super Lube over there. But this is good to have in a pinch. Save that for later. All right, probably do not need the tools. I have my own tool sets, but it's good to know that they came with it. So if you needed tools, you had what you need. And the screen's in here. And that's it in this box. So we can get rid of this one. You love the side spool holders where the spool doesn't stick out the front or the back. Always have to make your own. Yes, I have several like spool, like filament rollers for that very reason. On my Tridents and my other Vorons, I tend to not put it towards the back of the machine. I always move that spool holder towards the front and keep my spool of filament right at kind of this corner of the machine towards the front. I don't like reaching all the way back here because then I still got to feed it in and all that, and it doesn't work for me. I've always mounted them here with like a fold away type spool holder. Or in the case of the rack over there, I can have them mounted on the cross beam of the rack and just feed in from that. So I just create a little adapter that holds the spool there. It's not even on the printer itself. Looking for the mouse. Your 2.4 that's not enclosed has spool on the front bar. Hey, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. I don't have any that are not enclosed. I do have a Zerabo ZLC, so Zero Level Cube. That one is a sort of a Voron style, and it is unenclosed. And all those parts are printed out of PETG, no less. If you want something that's Voron style, but a little different, that one is pretty good. It's made with 3030, and it has, instead of a 2020 gantry inside, it has steel rods that it uses for the rear bar, the two Ys, and then your X is actually a carbon rod. Self-sourced, so never got panels. I don't think you need panels. It depends on what you print. I just prefer to keep dust out of my machines. So I like to have them be enclosed as much as possible with the option to vent. And also I don't print a lot of PLA. But it gets pretty cold in the garage, especially out here in the desert. I think it was down in the low 30s today, but it'll warm up to like the 60s today. Same size bed as the the X1P1. Kind of. It is a 256 by 256, as indicated on the plate here. But I've heard and read that you can use that full build area, whereas on the X1 and P1 you can't. I think you're limited to 250. So you get a couple of extra millimeters. Not that it super matters. Screen goes on. We saw that in the instructions. It says connect to the internet and update the firmware before use. So we'll do that. There's even instructions on the bottom of this thing. Let's see. All right, so first pull the connection out. I hate this tape. This is like packing tape, and a lot of times it leaves residue on the machine and it does feel slightly sticky there. I would say just use like the same stickers that you use on the other stuff. I don't know why you would switch to a different tape. So I'm gonna have to put some alcohol on that just to get that residue off. Anyway, this is a Sunday. We shouldn't be complaining. Let's see. This is keyed. I think it only goes in one way. Make sure. Yeah, it's a little bit fiddly. It's kind of down inside there, and this is not very long. So go down in there, click, click, and then we'll tuck the rest inside. Goes in, and then press down. Sorry, I thought somebody was coming out here. Goes in, presses down, comes right off just as easily. So that's really nice. Clicks in. I think we are just about go. That's all I remember from the instructions. Let's get rid of some of this trash. All right. This goes on top, like so, and there we go. There's a sticker on top that says, when printing low temp filaments, such as PLA and flexible filaments, please remove the top cover. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to add a vent to the top of this. We should probably slice something. Hey, Shrimp Father, welcome in. Happy Sunday. All right, we're just going to plug this in really quick. Get some power on. And she's alive. Decent bed size. I think it's decent. So if you follow the channel and you've heard me talk before, I'm really looking for a 250 Trident. I would prefer it to be a kit. I really don't want to self-source all that stuff. But that's kind of my ideal size for the things that I do. And then it's a little more space efficient. I'd rather have a couple of 250 machines than 2 large 350 machines. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I have a 350 to my left over here. That's the Trident 350 all-wheel drive with the Easy Bake frame, so it's a big boy. And then we have a couple of 300 Vorons over there on the shelf. There's a Switchwire, which is a decent size. That's a 220-ish bed. It's got a Prusa bed on it, so it's kind of rectangle. The X1 Carbon is a 250. And then there's a, what is that, a Second SK Go, that's a 200. All of those I probably use more than the big guy. But I do want to print some bigger things sometimes. So it makes printing box turtle skirts easier because I can print them in one piece. Magic Phoenix, they have a 250. You'll have to DM me a link to that. I'd like to check that out. The bigger they are, the longer to heat up, yes. Rob, see, I also add chamber heaters to a lot of my printers. I have not gotten to it on the Trident. Again, I just need this thing to start printing reliably right now, and it's having a lot of connection issues. I'm getting issues with the cartographer, throwing frequency errors and whatnot. Not exactly sure what that means, and I've updated the firmware, and it still continues to do it. I think my Pi is getting overloaded, so I need to add a specific source for the Raspberry Pi and put it on its own 5-volt power supply. So I need to do that today. I do have a couple of parts for that. Let's see, they are up here. So what I did to solve that problem, or hopefully solve that problem, is I got a couple of these 5-volt USB-Cs. These got here the other day. Come on. These bags are always a good time. But I got a couple of these on Amazon. And they output the 5-volt 5 amps on a Type-C. And I'm going to wire this in to the PSU so that it gets its own power to the Raspberry Pi. I probably just need to extend these cables. I'll mount this in there to the frame somewhere. There's enough room for that, and hopefully that'll fix it. 300 Trident used way less often than the Bamboo pushers. I think Bamboo just makes it easy. You can hit print and you know that it's going to go. Tridents, you really got to tune them in and make sure that they're reliable before I can trust them. The one that I have to my left is not trustworthy right now. I can't be in a different room while it's going at all. It just doesn't work right. Should finally build the 250 2.4. Yeah, build it. Stream it too. Let's take a look. Eddie Probe's very power greedy. Yeah, so it runs on CAN bus, Boothie, and it's 24 volts, so I have it wired to the toolhead board. But I think just overall, that CAN system is not getting the right signals from the Raspberry Pi because the Raspberry Pi continues to be undervolted. I really think that's the root of all the issues, is that the Pi is not getting the power it needs. So I'm going to add that in there first, run through a whole bunch of testing to see if I can reproduce the issue, and if it's fixed, that was the issue. So that's going to be my first go-to. Sweet. So it looks like it's powered up. Let's see if we can get through the menus here. I'm going to move you guys down to be able to see what I see. So we'll come over wrong way. We'll zoom in onto that screen. Can't do much about the glare, and for that I apologize. You're seeing the spool of filament on the Trident over here. So how about we move this just a little bit? There we go. Let's see if we can get a better image for you. Something like that, I suppose. You can see that, yes. All right. So it's asking me language. I speak English, so that's what we're going to use. Nitrocryptic weight? What? Uh-oh. What are we waiting for? You got me nervous. All right, so that, and then confirm. And then it says, use a hex key to remove the 3 screws shown in the image. We did that earlier, but we'll verify. 1, 2, and 3, all removed. Man, that's a nice snap. Confirm. Ensure the chamber is free from foreign objects, then click confirm. You got the Centauri carbon? I did. I did get the Centauri carbon. And we're taking a look at it today. That's what we're looking at today. Switch to your better account. Make sure you subscribe and like on both accounts. How about that? All right, device self-check. Place the build plate correctly with side A facing up, and it is, side A is the textured side. Hey, Canuck Labs. I got lucky, or maybe Zombie, I'm just that good where I know how to click quickly. Sweet, the process is expected to last for 30 minutes. That's crazy, 30 minutes to check out the machine. I don't know if I like that. I'm just going to move these blocks so there's a stable base for this. I don't know what it's going to do. If it starts shaking around, I want it to be stable. There we go, and you can still see what I see. Yours is still lost in the mail. So you ordered one, they shipped it to you, and it just never arrived? And you're still waiting on it? Did you see the condition of the box that I showed off earlier? That thing was thrashed. Like, there's like it got slammed against something, and so it kind of broke the box on one side. The edges of the box were all trashed. Luckily, the printer survived with no damage. We'll see if it operates, but so far so good. All right, so it's self-checking. It says, do not touch the printer during self-check. Okay, we will do our best not to do that. I think in the meantime, we can discuss what we're going to slice and print for the first print. I'll find some PLA hanging out, and we'll print some PLA something. Let's see. We got every color under the rainbow up there. What shipping carrier? It was UPS. UPS screwed me in the sense that they trashed my box. Bamboo level of packaging? I think so. It was packaged well on the inside. The outside of the box was a little worse for wear. Have you updated the firmware, or is that after calibration? I think it's after calibration. It did not give me an option to update the firmware. It said connect to the internet first on the instructions that I threw away somewhere. Oh, up here. So, yeah, you're talking about these. Sorry, here we go. These instructions. And it says, right, so if I follow this, it says install the touchscreen and then do the device self-check. And then it has me run through all the things. I think it might have been on that sticker. And I just tossed that in the garbage over there. We'll see. Let me grab that. Yeah, so Booty, on the sticker, it says, let's get you back in frame, connect to the internet and update the firmware before use. I don't know how to do that before I turn the machine on. And then Connect Lab says after the calibration, that's what it does first. This is the calibration. So, I mean, it's asking, it's heating the bed, it's heating the nozzle, doing the cooling fan, the main board fan, input shaping, and then auto leveling. You're gonna get one, so you hope it's good. I hope it's good too. I've already got one. And if not, it's gonna be a $2.99 brick. Recently, what was it? I got something recently and it did not turn out to be what I wanted it to be. July ages. Yeah, I forget who said it earlier, but yeah, they're saying July for the next round of shipment for these things. The only issue, estimated shipping time from the EU warehouse, July 10th. Yeah. Again, pretty lucky to be able to get there. Oh, the brick. Yeah, so I was working on the FL Sun S1. I've torn that extruder apart 3 or 4 times already. The first time I tore it apart, it had a clog and it consumed the hot end. The next time, the extruder clogged, which at the time I thought was due to the motor overheating and causing the gearing and everything inside the extruder to get so warm that it would just soften the PLA too much to where it couldn't print. So I dealt with that and had to unclog the extruder, put a new hot end in there. That one exploded and consumed itself. So I put a third hot end in the FL Sun, and that one also did the same thing after a little while, just had a leak in the hot end and just got covered in ABS. Fourth hot end goes in, get it printing. I decide that I'm only going to print with PLA. I'm not going to chance using ABS anymore because that's what exploded 2 of the other 3. And got another extruder clog, which I still think is related to the extruder overheating, making the gears too warm and softening the plastic before it gets extruded. So I'm in the process of redesigning the tool head on that so that it can accept an LGX light and a different hot end, something a little more compact and more reliable. So what we've been working on is modeling up the effector for the S1. So this is the model that I worked on this weekend, a little bit yesterday and a little bit on Friday. It's pretty damn close to the actual thing. I had to make one change to where the CPAP venting comes through to make that accept the stock housing a little better. And then with a lot of help from Boothie over the last couple of days, we've kind of got a mock-up to be able to put an LGX light on the S1 with a tube, on here. That's going to make the hot end a lot longer than the stock, but it is fine for now. So right now this thing is moving and shaking, which tells me that it's running input shaper. That glass is so dark you're not able to see anything, but I'll take you back down to where the screen is. Hopefully I'll try to stay out of your way so you can see what's going on. But it's running input shaper right now. I'll probably run that again later once I put this machine in the place that it's going to live. You should always run your input shaper on the the surface that you're going to have the machine operating most of the time. All right, trying to keep up with the chat here. You're interested in the gutting abilities of this printer, throwing in a M5P or something with beacon. I think you could do that. You could do that with any machine, really. If you're going that far, it's really hardware at that point, and then being able to pin out whatever sensors you're going to be using inside the machine. So if I changed nothing else except the main board, you'd have to pin out whatever's back there and then connect that to the Manta, but you could do it. You could do it and it'd be pretty cool. There's somebody on Twitter, I forget the name, but they are doing that to a bamboo. So they're putting regular clipper on a bamboo lab and trying to run it. Carbon comes with doors. What's the difference between Centauri and Centauri Carbon, except lack of panels and doors? Yeah, they've already answered that. The Centauri is also, we'll take a look at this. Let me flip you guys over and add a mic. All right, so now you're in Chrome and you can see what I see. This is the pre-order Centauri Carbon. If I were to look at the regular Centauri, this one here, it's $199. So you're saving yourself $100, but then also you're not getting as much capability as far as the enclosure. I don't know why this is not loading photos right now. There we go. But you're not getting the front door. You're not getting the side panels either. So unheated, it'd be a challenge to print anything other than PETG and PLA in something like this. Otherwise, as far as I know, everything else is the same. So if we look back at the Centauri Carbon, you do get the doors and all that. It is fully enclosed. You get the top, and everything else is pretty much the same as the non-carbon. So hopefully that answers your questions with some photos. Chamber camera. Yeah, it didn't really mention that and show that off too well. But I think there's a camera in here. You've seen the bamboo stuff, but this hardware is much cheaper. Yes. If you could do it on this one, Zombie, I think this is the better project to do it on. I think the bamboo draws more eyes, though, so maybe that's the reason. But I guess if you had one that was busted and bamboo refused to take it back, man, that's loud. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but that exhaust fan came on quite loudly. Sorry, no, that's the intake fan on the back. But yeah, on that bamboo, if you got one that's broken and it's not heating right, it's not replaceable under warranty, and you're just having issues with it, why not just modify that? They state the heat bed for Centauri goes to 110C versus 100C for the cheaper version. Okay. I'm not sure what they did differently that would cause one to go to an extra 10C. I don't know, we'll see. Take the Centauri as a PLA machine? Yeah, for sure. You could use this one as a PLA machine too. You just take the top off, keep the door open. But then you have the option of doing both instead of just being limited to one. Okay, it's like wiping itself over here. Well, it looks like it printed something. Well, there's like some extra PLA in the nozzle and whatnot. That's pretty loud. Move you guys back out to the wide view. So it's pretty loud. It dropped all this on the bed, so maybe they tested it beforehand. Some residual. Bunch of differences. Yeah, Iconic Fab, maybe. At first glance, without going through and looking at everything on the Chrome pages, I don't know what those differences are. no filter for both, maybe an artificial limit. That's what I would think, Zombie. Like, why would you create two different heat beds for the same machine when it would streamline your production and manufacturing if you could just have the same components for two different models? One is a little more stripped down and the other one's a little more full of features. That would make the more sense to me. Software limitations to position it differently, most likely, maybe, and a limit in the programming. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. I think they're just artificially limiting that. Lesser power bed. Yeah, so that's what I don't know. Like, do lesser power beds have different costs, really? I mean, if we talk a 600 watt versus a 500 watt, is there really that much of a difference in cost? Especially if you're buying it in bulk? Maybe? I don't know that it drops $100. I see the $100 coming from no top glass, no front glass, no side panels, and then everything else being relatively the same. Glass is heavy. I mean, this is stout. That's tempered glass. I don't know. That's what I would guess, is that it's in the enclosure side of things mostly. It's possible it could be in other places though. Right now it's doing like a 48-point bed leveling. I don't know if that's the actual number, but it's a lot of probes right here at the front. And if it does that all over the bed, then we're going to be here a while. Every dollar counts. I'm making a $200. You're right. You're right. I really want to get into the bottom of this thing and see what's in there. I think they would have an advantage if you were able to open this bottom panel from the inside like that. Kind of like an inverted electronics on a boron. But that is completely enclosed. Someone's going to run just PLA and PETG. The unenclosed version would make perfect sense. Yeah, 3D&T, that's what I'm saying. This thing really is running like 100-point bed leveling on a 256 cubed bed. I think that's a little excessive. For something like this, a 9x9 is going to be perfectly fine. I think in the meantime, we should figure out what we want to print on the first go. So, soliciting ideas in the chat, what we should print. I don't want a multi-day print. I'm looking for something that we can print in maybe 20 to 30 minutes. That way we can actually see it finish on stream. And then I'll run a whole bunch of other testing this week on the margins. Print big things, small things. We'll print multi-materials on it. Everything from PLA to PETG to ABS to ASA. Might even run some nylon through it and see how it goes. I do have some PC I can run through there. Print a helicopter. All right, Iconic Fab is coming through in the chat with all the data. So the differences look like bed temps, extra 10C on the carbon version. And then for bed, panels, doors, chamber, camera, aux fan, chamber, filter. Okay, so really stripped down all the parts to save that extra $100. But again, if you print PLA and PETG, you're gonna be fine. You'll be just fine. Quick printing model yourself. I think I will do what I always do, and we'll go over to printables and see what they have on there for quick prints. So we're done with this tab. We already saw that the competition is $629, and you could get 2 of these carbons for that. But Bamboo Lab does have amazing customer support, so you get what you pay for in that regard. If you're not comfortable and you want something that works, that comes with a warranty and you can get spare parts, maybe bite the bullet and get the Bamboo. But if cost is a factor for you, look at the Elegoo Centauri carbon. Where are we going? We're going to printables. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I can actually see what you guys are talking about. I want to keep up with chat the best that I can. So if that messes with what you're seeing, I apologize, but I think it's fine. Let's see. Basically, P1P versus P1S kind of lacking, except the heated bed aspect. Yeah, 3D&T, that's the consensus of the chat. That seems to be true. Let's see what's trending right now in the last 30 days. Move this door a touch so I can see. We are still bed leveling, so we're not missing anything. You have an extra large prints collection for bamboo size printers? The Benchy helicopter. Okay, please. Well, let's see if we can find a Benchy helicopter. Is this your model? I'm seeing several. The C. Lewis has 2 different versions, and this Benchy helicopter seems to have the most downloads. Is this what we want to print? Benchy helicopter with spinning blades, a little shorter and wider than the standard Benchy. All right, so it's multi-part. That's cool. I've never printed this before. We can do that. Let's see what the average time is here. So other models, other remixes, get that thing based on the original. All right. I'm not opposed to it. Let's see what we can do. Benchy helicopter. I've already got the slicer opened and I've imported. So I run Bamboo Slicer regular. I don't have the, what is it? The Elegoo Slicer, whatever the hell they're calling it. I don't have that one installed, so we'll probably need to do that. The upside down one. Did you make the thumbnail for this? I did make the thumbnail for this. I wish I had a person that does it for me, but I'm not that good yet. What are your thoughts on the thumbnail, Zombie? Is that what led you here? You gotta look at those. So I think I need to put the... I don't know if this works directly with Orca, but I think that's what we're gonna try. So 1 second, let me copy the audio over to avoid issues. And there, you guys should be able to hear me on the slicer. Pretty clean. I wanted to keep it clean on this one. I think I've talked about this almost every stream so far, that things all over the screen all the time kind of drive me nuts. And so if that is happening, it's distracting for me and I don't like it, which is why I can't Twitch. So that's that. Anyway, still bed leveling. We're about halfway through, it looks like. And if you're on the new beta version, this is the one that was released. This is the beta 2. So let me show you the, this is the version I'm running, 2.3.0 beta 2. This came out sometime around midnight, early in the morning. And this is what I downloaded this morning. And I usually stay up on the nightlies as well. It does have the Elegoo Centauri baked into it. So don't worry about having to use it yet. We'll see what I can do. I'm hoping I can just use this and not have to download a secondary slicer. But we had just downloaded the helicopter. Oh, my content format is great for YouTube. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get there. We're just having fun though. This truly is for fun, to knock some projects out of the way and be productive instead of many projects that are unfinished. All right, I almost always have to go in here and update the cooling and the fan settings for any filament that I'm printing. These look to be okay for PLA. Usually the bed temps get me though. And they have it set for 60, which I think is fine. On the Bamboo Lab, if you don't change the stock generic PLA settings, it'll give you a bed temp of 35. And I have not been able to make those prints stick on my Bamboo with that bed temp. So I always go in and check these now. I usually have to go from 60 to 65 on the bed to keep things attached. And on the X1 Carbon, I do use the similar textured plate, and it just won't stick for me at 35C. So maybe it's intended for their new cryo grip style plates. But as requested, there is the benchy that we're going to slice. I'm using standard Elegoo settings here. We could take a look at those. It looks like 0.2 layer heights, standard 0.42 on most of the walls. I'm not trying to edit this right away. I just want to see how it operates on the stock stuff. I can guarantee you that after stream, I will be going through and optimizing these settings. I have not done that ahead of time. Who made it? You meant the upside down one? I'm lost. I'm not sure what we mean. If you're asking about the model, I'm not seeing an upside down one, man. This is the only helicopter one that I saw. But we're gonna go with it because we already downloaded it. And there's not another one that I saw when I searched helicopter. Nonetheless, I think it's a good model. You have a lot of small parts. You have some thin pieces here at the back. You have the standard benchy stuff up top. There are some threads included, and then you have the threaded push over here, so we'll get to test some tolerances. And then you have a long, thin piece with the blades that'll test bed adhesion a little bit. Also, some very sharp corners on those blades, so we'll see how it does with small detail like that. There's a circle in the middle, so that should check the tolerance of how well it does circles on its own. We'll see if it has G-code arcs enabled. Let's see. It does have arc fitting in the slicer. There's no hole compensation here, but this model will give you a good idea of what that should be. Same thing for the small area of flow compensation. As I go through the slicer and update this to be better or more accurate, I'll tweak all that stuff and we'll see what happens. 2 walls, 5 top layers, 3 bottom layers. Not changing anything. Everything in here looks normal. 15% inbuilt is fine. Speeds, let's see what they have. And again, this is Orca Slicer. This is not the Elegoo Slicer, so these settings may be different than what Elegoo intended. And also, I don't know if there are models on the thumb drive. We have not even inserted that into the yet. Just want to take a look at what is stock here. These look to be very similar to a P1S type setting. So let's slice this and see how it goes. Trying to find the one that I'm going to refer to. No, that's good, man. We're going to press this. And they have brims on everything. I would normally turn those off and prefer mouse views. I think I'm going to do that anyway. That's the one change we're going to make because I don't want to pull all those brims off. I much prefer using mouse ears. And that does pretty much the same thing. Keeps the sharp corners down. It's going to be PLA anyway, so I'm not worried about it. No brims. All right, we'll turn them off. I don't know, I like the mouse here. I just want to make sure. Challenge the machine, no brims. All right, that's 2 votes. We're doing it, no brims. Chat gets what it wants. Pip helicopter. Yeah, we're already here, man. If this happens quickly, maybe we'll do another one. All right, that takes about 30 minutes to get through that. And then I know when I export this, it's going to ask me where, and I'm probably just going to put it on the thumb drive because I don't want to download another slicer. Print and place helicopter. All right, well, if we get time, we'll search it that way. But right now, I want to get slicing because this machine calibration is taking a lot of time. And I think it's excessive on how much time that took. If I had to run that bed leveling all of the time, then I would not be happy. All right, so I put that, put the file onto the, there we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my life together here. There we go. So calibration finished in the time that it took us to find that model, slice it. Hey, good morning, Steve. So far, here's the recap. Pretty decent build quality. Panels are a little resonant, but it's a pretty stout, firm machine, pretty solid. We just ran through the self-calibration. It said that it took 30 minutes, and from what I can tell on the timer, we're about an hour and a half into this, so it really did take all of those 30 minutes. It did something like 100-point bed leveling on this thing. That's a little excessive for a 256 build plate. But the quality and the craftsmanship of the machine looks to be good for $299. We're about to slice, oh, I'm sorry, we already sliced. We're about to print a benchy as soon as we finish the setup here. I need to put in my Wi-Fi info, it looks like. Because I have no Wi-Fi. But we can do the USB drive. So we sliced on the USB drive, and I saved it on there. Let me cook. That's right. Let me cook. It's not a Trident. It's not a Trident. You're right. So I'm just going to eject that. Sorry, that thumb drive that it came with. Looking through it though, there's a user manual, some software, some models, and there's a tutorial videos on the thumb drive. So you'll be okay if you use that stuff. Do I not need to update the firmware? I do. It said I needed to get to Wi-Fi. I wanted to get this sliced first. I'm looking for the connection for the network right here. So fourth icon down, second tab over is the network. And I need to put in my stuff. So let's hide this from you all. I don't need anybody logging into my stuff. I'll show you the back just for a second. Put in the Wi-Fi info. And as soon as I put this in, it's probably going to prompt me. If it doesn't, we will ask it for a firmware. Yeah, so put in the Wi-Fi info there, and then we'll confirm. Looks like it's connecting. There is an info tab, and I put in the wrong password. There's an info tab and a and some other stuff. Password is Killer Forever Dollar. Not a Trident might be an interesting brand for the Core XY FDM. Meh. Maybe. Hey, Armor 3D Printing. It's going good. We're trying to connect to Wi-Fi right now so that we can update the firmware on the machine. Shout out to Boothie for the reminder. Always keeping me on track. But so far so good. We took a break from the box turtle to look at this. I still need to do firmware and make some CAN connections for the box turtle. And the Trident is not playing nice. So instead of fighting through that and creating a very, I don't know, in my opinion, boring stream showing you guys things that you don't necessarily care about, I chose to take a first glance at the Centauri Carbon. It's giving me the IP, so I'm going to plug that into the slicer really quick. So we'll make that one change here. And the connection, it is 192, 145. Test, and this says not found. Octoprint version 1.1 higher. All right, so that tells me that for whatever reason, the the plugin for Orca doesn't work with this. So I am not able to do that. Oh, there's an Elegoo link. You see that? He was watching Uncle Jesse's stream, and then you came over to mine. You made me feel special. So let's try this Elegoo link, and look at that. It works correctly. So maybe Elegoo got it together and allowed Orca Slicer to play. So we just tested that, and it says that it works correctly. I've never seen that feature as an option before in the Elegoo link. So my opinion only, if you're going to get the Centauri Carbon and want to use Orca Slicer, you can, because you have this Elegoo link down here at the bottom, and that seems to work. So now I'm going to save that, and then we can slice again, and then we'll try to push this to the printer wirelessly. I don't want to upload and print because I don't have any filament loaded yet, but the options are cool. So we can do time lapse, we can do the heated bed leveling. I always like the bed level heated. My stream actually just came up, meant I was watching the Uncle Jesse stream for the release of this printer. Oh, that's cool. That tells me the algorithm's working. So thanks for the double check. Don't speak too soon. Got to send it to the printer first, but it looks good so far. Yeah. It says upload and print, but I don't know that I'm ready to print yet. I have no PLA in there. But we'll send it and see what happens. Will it let me look at the device? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. We are not seeing all your screen. Yeah, you should be. I'm showing you the slicer right now. That's all we're seeing. I'm gonna flip you back to the desk. Now you can see. So I just sent that to the printer and it started printing already. So let me see if I can share what I'm seeing on the interface on the slicer, because when I'm here, you're just seeing the G code. When I click device, it's not showing that, but I can screen capture that. 1 second here. See if I can get that for you. It doesn't look like I can. So the actual screen is not working there. Let's try a different one. No, not seeing it. Yeah, so it won't allow me to capture. Won't allow me to capture the device tab of the slicer itself, which kind of sucks. Sorry about that. But it is starting to print already, and there's no PLA in there, and we have not updated firmware. So I'm going to cancel that. That is very loud. Am I sharing the screen or the window? Just sharing window doesn't show many pop-ups. Yeah, so Steve, it's not a pop-up. It is in the slicer itself on the device tab. So if I take you back to the slicer, I am on the device tab. It's not showing that. It's not a pop-up window. You know how Orca just like changes the window? It's not showing that information. So I'm seeing what you would normally see for a device tab or like a clipper interface style thing. It doesn't show that. So I can show you the preview like normal. It's not a problem. You see me moving that window around. But when I go to device, I'm seeing something else that you guys can't see. And it's not a pop-up. So I think it has to do with something I don't understand. But it did slice. It did give me sort of a, I don't know how to explain that. It says it's pausing, but it's not pausing. I'll try to show you what I'm seeing here. Streamlabs is not always the most fun. Hey, Iconic Frab, just subscribe. Thanks, man. Yeah, so if I did the display capture, no worky, window capture, no worky, screen capture, I could try. And let's try that. There we go. There we go. All right, so that's what I'm seeing when I go to the tab. Let me pull that down to what makes sense. There we go. So that's what I'm seeing on the slicer itself. And so it does give me sort of an interface. Thanks for subscribing, Zombie. Appreciate you. Appreciate the help, Steve. This is what we're looking at on the slicer itself. This is the only way I can get it to show, and I don't understand that, but we are where we are, working now. And so I can come in here and do all the normal things. It's a little sparse, but I can totally monitor the screen from here. You got the notification for the stream? Thanks. I can't believe you've been here a couple of times and haven't subscribed yet. I just got the notification that you subscribed too, so thanks. I do like that I can see it. It's a little more clear than what I've read on the internet. It's a little dark. I will be adding LEDs to this once I add the top hat. Got all the monitoring stuff. I can see all the files that I would do a time lapse for, so I could see all that. What I don't like is I cannot stop or pause or anything from this screen. Let's see if we turn the lights on. Yeah, that helped, sort of. So it kind of just mimics the interface that's on the touch screen already. And it's not as useful as I would like it to be. I can home from here, I can change some Z settings, but I can't stop a print or start a print from this screen. Camera is usable for sure, but there's a lot of light in here. So maybe there's some light coming through the top. If I were to cover that, let's put a sheet of paper on there. If I were to cover that, it does get kind of dark. So I'm gonna add some extra light in there anyway. I can't even see really through the front panel. I can kind of see through the top panel, but again, that's because of the garage lighting I have. So it's going to continue going through this leveling. It will not allow me to stop it, which is what I want to do to update the firmware. But at least it's leveling a little bit quicker than it was the first time. This looks to be like a 16-point level instead of a 100-point. It's using nozzle probing. Yeah, nozzle probing. I don't know why it won't let me stop it. So maybe that's like a firmware thing that we have to look at. So I'm gonna open this up. Should have that open anyway for the PLA print. You can kind of see how that's going around. Maybe not 16 point. That looks to be at least 20 point. That's crazy. This is where the unenclosed would have an advantage. No panels blocking the light, but no camera. Yeah, I'd much prefer having the camera, and then I can make this panelless by just taking this off. So I'm not extremely worried about it. We'll do it that way anyway. That needs to come off for the PLA. I just want to update firmware. I didn't really want to start it. I just wanted to test to see if I could send files wirelessly, and I can. Orca Slicer does now have that option. So rather than just flipping the switch and turning it off, I don't know another way to stop this thing. Notifications unfortunately just work if the account has public sub status, otherwise YouTube keeps it private. Yeah, sure. I don't know enough about YouTube, nor do I don't want to say I don't care, that's not the right term, but I'm not concerned with it. If we get subs, great. More people get to see what we're doing over here. So I don't want to print. I definitely do want to update firmware. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to just power cycle. I hope I spelled it right. Second time. Elegoo does not believe in the power of interpolation. Maybe. I'm going to update firmware. I keep saying that because I don't want to forget. That does have a nice screen, but it already says Elegoo here, and then it says it on the screen again. I don't know, it's redundant. Bed mesh on a bamboo, and now this printer kills me. You're right, the bed mesh on a bamboo takes a little while. This seems to be longer. It does seem to take longer. I do like the cable chain better on here. It's actually hard mounted to the print head. The USB's cable is a 90 degree, and the Bowden tube is at a better angle for the filament to come in. Look, so we'll go back to, I'll show you what I'm seeing. That pop up after we power cycled, I'm now getting the notification that we can update. Mainly once you know how scanning works. Yeah, I hope there's an option in here to turn this off. But this firmware was a current version was 1.1.0. We're going to 1.1.4, and it says it fixed some issues with Elegoo slicer adaptation, but they spelled Elegoo wrong. I mean, it's your company, and we can't even spell the name right. Little things. Doesn't matter? No. But attention to detail. When you get the little things right, it makes everything seem that much more better. And who knows, maybe this update fixes the spelling. Mainly once you know how scanning works. Yeah. I think once the bed gets level, I get this printer in the place that it's going to live. I don't know that I'm going to have to level it a whole bunch. I honestly don't run bed leveling on my X1 Carbon every single print either. I only do that when I'm printing large items. Something like this Benchy today, I'm not normally going to run bed leveling for that. And plus we did the original one, 100 point or whatever it was, from the start. So if that got stored in the machine like it should have, then I don't necessarily need a bed level. And this second boot took a while. In the meantime, what color should we print? I've got almost every color under the rainbow. And thinking it is March. I'm a fan of green. All right, Clownhammer, see ya. Thanks for stopping by for a little bit. I'll see you in other chats, other places. It's cool, that is rebooted. Let's make sure there are no other things here. All right, so I can see the Z offset. That is nice that I can actually adjust that. That's a benefit over the X1 Carbon. I'll set my time zone to where I'm at, UTC -8. I have build plate options in here. It is set to side A, which is the textured side, and that's what we're using. I can check for other updates, and it says I'm using the current version, so that's good. Export logs, all good stuff. You can make the screen timeout. Under the network tab, that's where we have our all the Wi-Fi information. You have serial numbers and stuff in here. And then under the camera, you can toggle your time lapse. And then you can see your list of videos in there as well. There's a rocket ship looking thing at the bottom. That's your calibration. It shows bed mesh graph. It does not show the graph. It was showing, let's see. No, so under build plate, it just shows me which either smooth or textured sheet. Normal controls in here. You can turn things on and off, and then set nozzle temps like you can on pretty much any machine. And then what we have on the printer itself. So locally, we have that sliced file that we did from Orca in there. -8 neighbors. There's always neighbors. I live in a neighborhood where we're all kind of packed close together, so I can pull, legit, I can pull and use, if I had the passwords, 5 or 6 of my neighbors. Yeah. We have a USB drive tab, not using that, and then print history, we haven't printed anything yet. And then your home tab is kind of pretty. Lights on and off. And that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and preheat this bed back to where we were. I think it was set for 60, just to get ahead of the curve a little bit. And then if I go ahead and load some filament, I didn't see anything for that actually. There's not like a load filament button. I do have the extruder page here, and I don't know what that does. That's like a, I don't know what that button does. Let's see, case fan, extruder fan. Oh, here we go. Under the extruder tab, there's a load and unload button. Nobody wants to show their tacos. Yeah, it's blackout weekend. I'm not allowed to get tacos. My wife told me I'm not allowed. But we need to get some filament. Like I said, I'm a fan of green. I have several greens around. I think I want to print in green. So let me see what we have on the shelf. I have a lot of, that's ABS. I don't want to do ABS. I want to do PLA. That's what we slice for. And I have, oh, it's a helicopter. Here we go. Let's reach up on the shelf. I have this Polyterra PLA. This is a military green for a military helicopter. Army green, look at that, 3D&T, nailed it. So we'll do some of this. Polymaker is one of my favorite brands. So the way I'm installing this, let's go back to the desk. So the way I'm installing this, based on the way that the filament sensor is, I have to go this way. So the filament coming out of the right side of the filament spool. And we'll see what happens when I put this in here. I have the rings on it because I do use this in my bamboo. All right, so it sensed it. The little light came on as soon as I inserted that and push it all the way up to the extruder now. It's a little bit tight. I think that bend at the tool head's a little tight. But I put that in there and we can load. It's heating to 250. It's a little loud, probably due to the steel rods. And then also I'm probably used to linear rails and thick belts and things like that. But it goes over the poop chute, and that's going to fall on the floor because there's no poop chute back there. 17 people on. That's awesome. All came to see the carbon. First impressions, it's a little different. I think I'm struggling through some of that because it is slightly different from my bamboo. And so I'm having to learn a new interface and the intricacies of this machine. But outside of that, if this is all you knew, I think it'd be fine. Build quality is good. I'm just taking a look around as I'm waiting for this to heat up. If Steve is still here, the belts are installed upside down. That's annoying. I do see the carbon filter kind of behind the tool head there. We'll prop this back up here in a second. We're at temp. It's not grabbing the filament though. Kind of overshot a little bit. I think once we settle back down to 250, it'll take it. There it goes. And it's pulling it in. See if I can catch it as it comes out the back. Tool head has a cutter built in. It does, low sync. It's on this side of the tool head. I'll prop this up here in a second. And then it comes to this front corner to trigger that cutter. We were talking earlier about why. There's talk of an AMS style thing. And I don't know when that's going to be released or whatnot, but I don't know where that would plug in. I don't see an extra port for power for something like that. But if they release it, it'd be great. And so it does have the cutter, it does have the poop chute in anticipation of that. I don't know that you need it though. Not for this without the AMS. It should just be a normal machine. It should purge on the front of the bed here. Some other differences, all of it is plastic. The frame of it is all plastic. I don't see any metal. It looks to all be injection molded. And then under the plastic, like under the Y-axis there, There's like a metal reinforcement bar to maybe stiffen it up, but there's not a lot of, it didn't purge anything. There's not a lot of metal in it, which makes me wonder why it's so heavy. So it is purging. Great. And it should ask me again if it's good enough. There we go. I like that wiper though. I don't know where the filament went. Oh, it's kind of caught on the back edge. It didn't come all the way out. That's not great. So there's like there's not a lip, but like a sort of a flat spot in the slope of that poop chute where it didn't come all the way out. It just kind of stopped on that flat slope. I could see that building up filament. So we purged out, it looks like they tested it with white. Come on. It looks like they tested it with white first, and then the green that we purged. The Creality High, this one, the 85X. Is this going to be the year of the budget color changers, single extruder printers, end of the year holiday blitz incoming? You want me to give an opinion on that? I think yes. The Bamboo Lab has been out long enough that other people are starting to copy their homework. Now, will they be able to copy the support side of it? Probably not. I don't know that there's enough infrastructure for smaller companies to be able to do that. Bamboo Lab had a head start being DJI engineers, so they're a little more familiar with that, I think. I think you will see a lot more budget ones. It started, I think, last year. You had a few kind of clones of this. The name of it escapes me. It's an Anycubic something. I thought that they had a version of this as well. By the end of the year, yeah, I think you'll see Bamboo Lab start dropping prices on their old machine because, again, you got to remember, they had already teased what the version 2 is going to be as far as when it's coming out. They said Q1 of 25. They delayed it to perfect some things, and they've been silent on that entire topic since. I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious to see what it will actually be. And I think as soon as that launches, you'll see drops on the older models. I think they're still capable, the older models, and I don't know that the newer one can top it, but I would love to be wrong. Let's see, please, S1. You're talking about the FL Sun S1? I think it's hot garbage. If you really want the S1, I would get the Pro model. I understand that they fixed a lot of the things. I don't own the Pro model. They refused to replace my original one with a Pro model. So I'm a little sour on the FL Sun. It has not worked reliably since I got it last year. Oh, the Anycubic S1. Yeah, that's probably the name, yeah. That sounds right. Sorry, I'm a little bitter at FL Sun right now, and you scratched the itch on that one. It put me on a rant a little bit. I am not happy with those cats. I think your T1 Pro, because it's the Pro, it's version 2. Version 2 is, I've heard, is much better. I have the version 1 S1. It is not reliable. I cannot use it. I cannot trust it. And the specs on it are great. The hardware on it is great. The firmware is trash from the start, so much so that they had to open source it, not FL Sun, but the community open sourced it. And I flashed all of that on there, and I'm still getting crappy prints because the hot end is garbage and the extruder is just not up to snuff. They should have gone with off-the-shelf like an Orbiter or an LGX Pro, like a LGX Lite Pro, and then use I don't know, a Rapido or maybe even a Dragon if they had to. T1 and S1 had a bunch of garbage. Yeah, use the open source stuff if you want to do that. But I think right now we need to start a print. So I'm going behind the camera to start this thing, but I can also do it from the screen here. Let's do it that way. So files, local, we have that helicopter that we sliced. Textured build plate. I like that you have the option to choose. We're going with textured. And then I'm not gonna do a time lapse and I'm not gonna level. Yeah, so on, off, print. That starts pretty immediately. It's a string hanging out, so we're gonna pull that off. A little bit of oozing filament there. Yeah, Galoos did it for both. If you have a T1 or an S1, use that. If you have the Pro model, I want to say it works. I don't know. I need to flash the motors on the FL Sun so that it has less vertical artifacts. So the motors put a lot of noise into the prints themselves, and you get some waves and some weird like salmon skin type stuff. Flashing the motors is supposed to fix a lot of that. I have not done it, again, because the extruder sucks. It continues to get jammed. And then the hot end, I've exploded 3 of them already, and I have the last one installed. I don't want to immediately ruin it, but after every print I have to check it to make sure that it's not leaking. I just don't trust it. If I could throw it in the front yard and do away with it, I would do that. It just sucks that for a $1,400 machine, it doesn't work. But hopefully the Elegoo will. So far, so good. It's doing a little bit of a purge at the front left corner, and that's like at the extreme corner, so it's saving you a lot of build space. Stock T1 Pro firmware is working fine after 809 hours. Nice. So it sounds like the Pro is better. Like I said, I reached out and said, hey, this thing is trash. I will, at my own expense, send it back to you. If you sent me a Pro version, I would even cover shipping on the Pro version. And they just ghosted me. There was never a response on that. But the machine was out for, I think, only 1 quarter, like 3 or 4 months. And they released the Pro's version of it. So everybody that got the original kind of got boned out of a quality machine. Hesitant to switch to the open source firmware? I don't think you need to be. The firmware now works. And it's got an updated clipper on it, not some forked version from a company that doesn't take care of the forked version. Galoos is actively keeping track of that, making sure that things are fixed and working appropriately, and then importing any new updates from Clipper into his version. And so on the firmware side, it works. It's the hardware side on the original that sucks. Maybe your T1 uses different hardware. Maybe you have a better extruder and hot end than I got, but every hot end I got for the S1, it's not worked. Love being a beta tester. Yeah. I mean, this Elegoo is kind of in, I wouldn't say a beta test. They did delay the launch of it to perfect it. And I think they did a good job so far, but we have not printed anything. We haven't had any issues yet. I think that's the measure, or should be the measure for most printers, is does it work as advertised, yes or no? And if it does not, is it easily fixable? Is it something that the company is going to send to you to replace whatever they messed up? Or is it something that you're going to be stuck with? I know that Elegoo does have spare parts on their site right now for these machines, and they're not even widely available yet. But you can already order replacement hot ends and things like that. I think they were on pre-order, to be fair, but you can get them. For the FL Sun, I can't. You have it dialed so nice. If you change the firmware, you got to retune it all over again. Yes, the challenge. What you gain, though, is the ability to customize. So if I want to PID tune it or use, I don't know, other features of Clipper, you can now do that. You can change and view your bed mesh. You can change and view your input shaping results in the new firmware. I don't think you can do that in the original. So it depends on what you want. If all you want is a machine that works, no need to change it. Stick with what you got. If you want those additional features and extra customizability, you're going to need the new firmware. It's pretty fast. It looks to be just as quick as my X1. I think some of the sound of that is coming over the audio, so I don't know if you guys are hearing how loud that is. To my ears, it's pretty loud. I'm hearing some motor noise, especially on the Y moves. I'm hearing a lot of fan noise. The tool head, firstly, and then that exhaust fan's not on, so I'm not hearing that, but that tool head's pretty loud. T1 Pro for the speed. Yeah, that checks. I should have gotten the T1. I got the S1 because it's a lot larger. It's a 320 diameter bed, and it is faster, but it doesn't work. It's also got the heated filament spool on it. I don't know that it is super helpful. It's not going to dry anything, but it may help to keep it dry longer. It's not going to be a full-out solution. I think it only gets to about 35C in there, so I don't know what you're exactly drying. 55 decibels. I don't have a, forget the name of the measuring tool that measures decibels, but I don't have one of those. 55 sounds about accurate though. I'm just excited to see what the aftermarket comes up with on this thing. It does look to be a lot more serviceable than the Bamboo Lab. So, like I was talking about earlier, there are already some mods out there to make the door swing open a little further. There are probably some feet coming. I'm going to put just normal hula feet on this one. There's already a riser for the top hat. I'm going to print that here after stream. I didn't want to turn the Trident on because it's so loud. And I'm also having trouble with it. But it's pretty good so far. Let's see if we can get you guys a close-up in here. Let's go to this one, and then we'll move it up. Too fast. There we go. Let's see, zoom in just a touch here. Hey JPP, welcome back. That is all the zoom I'm able to do, but I think you can see pretty well. Looks like that helicopter blade is already done. We're printing, JPP, a helicopter benchy as suggested by Canuck Labs, even though we got the incorrect benchy as far as the one that he wanted. But it's printing a thing. All we did in the slicer was turn the brims off. So these are stock Orca slicer settings for the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. Yeah, the wrong kind. If we hang out long enough, maybe we'll print the other one. We're only at the 2-hour mark right now. I do try to keep the streams to 3 hours for my own sanity and yours. It is shaking everything on the desk though. The monitor is kind of shaking. But to be expected. I don't know what the accelerations are on this thing. At first glance, it's doing a great job. Can I be a mod for a sec? I want to post this link for you. Let's see if I can do that. I'll be honest, I don't exactly know how to do that real time. Let me see here. There you go. There you go. You should be able to post what you want. Thanks for the backup, 3D&T. My enforcer on the stream today. I love that. Now we're good. I'm usually able to manage chaos and multitask at the same time. Based on what I do for a job, it tends to occur that way. Managing chaos is what I get paid to do. Flex on the fly. But yeah, we got the model now. If we want to print that one after that one, after this one finishes, we can take a look at that. Yeah, so I'm seeing the print in place helicopter. This is not the print. This is not the helicopter Benchy. I think that's where we got off track. The helicopter Benchy is something else. Oh, 3D&T, we're doing a speed challenge? Tell me more. What's the challenge? Turn the heat back on. Getting a little cold in here. You're gonna post another one? What, another model? Yeah, I gotta make you a mod again if you wanna do that. Are you trying to post another model? We can turn that back on for you. Just no funny business. I'm teasing, I'm teasing. There you go. Want me to send you the upside down AH6 little bird? Yeah, you can send it to me, JPP. Just DM it to me on Discord. Yeah, shoot me all the challenge info. If there's a challenge out there and we want to get a little crazy, we can do that. I got the all-wheel drive Trident over here. I'm trying to play with and do some crazy stuff. I just need it to be reliable a little bit first. Helicopter and Chinook combined files. Oh, combined times. Okay. So, is this just a challenge on Discord, or where did you guys find out about this? This is the first I'm hearing of it. Hello, Wei Zhang. Thanks for coming in and joining. Make sure to like and subscribe to stream so this gets out to more folks. We're printing with the Elegoo Centauri Carbon today. A little bit of a helicopter Benchy. We're roughly, there's not a, okay, 33.70% according to this. Open to everyone. It was a JPP and 3D&T idea. I love it, man. I love it. Are you guys good with me sharing it around? Can we post it on socials and see how many people we can get? And then follow-up question, where is the leaderboard and who's number one? That's the important stuff. T1 Pro versus CC. Or the Trident. Yeah, we're gonna do them all. So I'll run it off the challenge on the CC. We'll run it on the Bamboo. I will run it on the Trident, and then quickly I'll reassemble the S1, see if I can print it with the stock hardware without making it explode. But like I was talking about earlier, I'm very keen to put different hardware on that machine so I can actually use it. Where do you find what, Canuck Labs? Yeah, let's do a leaderboard. I don't know of a specific app that I would use to host all that. It's probably a little bit manual to do it in Discord, and I don't know if you want that. But if there's a public place to be able to put that so that as I print it, I can go to a website or a form and enter my information into like a Google form, and that populates a Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet that is live updated somewhere. That would be perfect. But again, that's a little bit of a setup on the backside, but we could do that. Wei Zhang, this is an Elegoo, let me zoom out a little bit. This is an Elegoo Centauri Carbon. So Elegoo Centauri Carbon. New machine to hit the block, kind of a Bamboo X1 competitor, maybe like a P1S competitor. $299 for this thing. On pre-order right now. But only $299, so a pretty hard thing to pass up, I think, if you're into this style of machine. Not an X1C. Yeah, P1S. You're right. I tried to correct myself. Chat's a few seconds behind. We're doing some fun speed runs. We need to set requirements for quality grading as well for a leaderboard. Yep. A contest without standards is not a contest. So I would lean you towards like the Speed Benchy challenge. I think they have a pretty good setup as far as how they have rules, as far as how they track who has the fastest and things like that. So I'm not saying copy one for one. I'm saying use it for inspiration to make your own criterion. I think it's pretty detailed, so we can make it official. Yeah. I would like to see, though, seriously, I would like to see, instead of a Benchy or something small, I'd like to see a larger model. Something that's a little more functional, something that can be measured. So we're looking at tolerances as well as speed. So I can print a Benchy shaped object quickly and it'll look like crap, but how do you measure quality in an objective fashion? So if I just look at a thing and get someone's opinion, that's one aspect. But if I'm able to take measurements off of that item and meet a tolerance, that's objective and something I can measure. BSO, yeah. So that's what you're getting when you print a 2.5 minute Benchy. You're getting a BSO. It foregoes the entire quality side of 3D printing. So if we had something maybe a little bit bigger that had dimensions on it, got it, JPP. I'll check Discord after the stream today. Talk with Denise how she did hers. That's a good idea. Torture tray. Send it to me, Boothie. I probably have it. Just remind me where it is. I know that you shared that with me probably a year and a half ago. I think I have it saved somewhere. Before you send it to me, let me look real quick. I save a lot of the things that you send my way, but usually don't know where I save them. Torture tray. Not seeing it. These must be the trays on your printables, yes? Yeah, okay, thanks. We'll jump over there and grab that. And we'll show people what you're talking about too. All right, so we still have that window up there. Let's hide this so that you can see what's going on. There we go. So this is the Chinook helicopter they were talking about. This is the print in place helicopter that we're talking about with the challenge. And then we're gonna do Boothie's torture tray over here. So Boothie is one of the designers that does a lot of things, not only models that you can print and whatnot, but entire printer refurbishment. I'll say it that way. So if you ever have a hypercube that you want to turn into a Voron V2, look up Boothie's project here. He calls it Vivo, And so under Boothie, you'll see all of his stuff, 3D models, and then you can see very talented guy that uploads a lot of different things, a lot of mods for printers. This screen display here, this is specific to the Vivo project, so that fits on a 3030 frame. Would also potentially fit on a rat rig if you were building one of those. He's got stuff for his V0. There's a Tsunami face mount. He's got a CNC that he's designed. This is that conversion project I was talking about, Vivo. And if you like a touchscreen, there's a TFT35 option. His Minion stuff is on here. Just all kinds of projects from a fantastic person and a very good buddy of mine. So while we look around for his torture tray, we'll just kind of scroll through his catalog. You see lots of different stuff for lots of different printers, going all the way back to the Ender 3. So highly recommend checking out his page, downloading some of his things. Back there, top of the page. Yeah, I know, I missed it on purpose. I'm trying to show off your page a little bit, show what you do and what you get into. So lots of things going on for this chap. Torture tray, back on task. I'm gonna add this camera to my Trident. Right now I have the OV 5640 or something. It's a little under quality. I have a kit to add this to the Trident, so I'm gonna do that. And if you haven't followed him yet, please go ahead and give him a follow. Let's turn his 252 into a 253. But you can see he's got 20,000 downloads. So people other than me like his stuff as well. There's the torture tray we're talking about. And I think I printed these at some point back when I was still living in Oklahoma. I don't know what happened to those trays. So we'll have to print a few more. The component tray is PLA and the clasp is PETG. We have some PLA loaded, so we'll print one of these real quick. I'm gonna download everything. And we'll put it here in the downloads folder. Wrong tray. That's not it. Okay, wrong tray that we downloaded. Whatever. We'll go back. This one here, the component torture tray. Weizang says, can I print PPS carbon fiber? I don't think so. I think you need a hotter temperature. I think I might have some Polymaker over there, PPS. I'm looking up, I see nylon. I'm sure I got some PPS somewhere. I was going to use it for a monolith project. All right, so we'll download the correct project this time. All right. Get these over to the slicer here. Let's see how long that takes. We may be able to do one here on stream. I don't mind going a little longer if there are things that people want to see and want to do, and we can keep the chat going. 23 viewers today. That's pretty cool. Thanks for stopping in, everybody. You could get away with it on 320, but the layer adhesion would not be that good. Yeah, that's the challenge. You can print a lot of materials at lower hot end temps, but if you don't have good layer adhesion, it doesn't make sense. You're gonna get a crappy print. It's a long print. Okay, so we'll probably just do this one after stream, but I definitely want to put it in the slicer and see how long it actually is. So going back over here, we can update to a new project. Not gonna save. Transfer, no brims. and everything else should be the same. We'll drop in our tray. So Boothie, what do you suggest? Should we do it with the label inserts or without? I say we do it with the label inserts. Because I want to see all of that design and everything else that you have on the bottom of it. That's going to give me a good idea of the bridging and the tolerances and everything else. And then it's still a useful torture test at the end of the day. I think that was the intent for this one, to have something you can still use, but test your machine. Either similar time. Yeah, I'm not worried about the time. I'm gonna probably print it after stream. But I want to seriously stress test it. And so I think the one with the labels is going to do that, yes? Sorry, I just opened it by accident. Here we go. That's the tray. And this is it here. So you have a scale for measuring hardware left and right. Just the first layer is a big test. That's what we want. You have some measuring here on the X. You have some measuring for the Y all the way around. And then on the bottom is where the real magic happens. You'll see that he has a lot of different things. We'll slice it real quick. Should make it easier to see. Oh wow, so the square, real quick, the square on the Benchy, you need to hear this. It was doing sort of like a sound that sounded like the Twilight Zone. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. That's the sound it was making just now on the printer. But it has a lot of these intricacies on the bottom of this tray. And so that's definitely going to be the torture test I'm looking for. So it will be a good test, the first layer. Yes, this is what we want. All right, let's see what the time is. 2 hours, 20 minutes on this. That's with stock settings. We haven't tuned this thing at all for speed or anything else. And of course, you put the slides in here so that you can easily remove your hardware. I love that. So about a 2-hour print for this. We're gonna run this off after stream today. Almost done with the Benchy. And then I'm gonna push you guys over to Steve's stream. I'll print this offline. I'll post about it on all the social stuff. Maybe I'll make a short and post it to YouTube so you guys can come back later and see the results. I'll definitely show it off next week on stream, the success and the quality of the tray. What's the profiles in Orca for the speeds? We can take a look at that. They look to be pretty much the same as any other Core XY machine. So 50 on the first layer, 105 for the infill, 160 outer wall, 200 inner wall. We could bump those numbers up. I'm not slowing down for perimeters or anything like that. Overhang, speed is all fine. Accelerations, you're looking at 10K. Yeah, it's very conservative. I think they're aiming for quality, which makes sense if you're trying to have nice prints. But it's all about comparison. So if I am comparing this machine to what an Ender 3 used to be or an Ender 5 used to be, this blows it out of the water. This is 2.5 times as fast. 3D Wolf, it's going well. We're getting through the Benchy, as you can see. So it's all perspective in what you're comparing it against. This thing is slower than a T1 or an S1. It's slower than almost any Delta could be. But it's roughly on par with a Bamboo Lab X1 and a P1 and a P1S. It's probably a little faster than a Prusa Core 1. But it's not faster than my all-wheel drive Trident. So it depends on what you're comparing it to. Chopper Benchy, yeah. Decently fast. How fast is that? We were just looking at speeds in the slicer. So you're looking at about 160 on the outer wall, 200 on the inner wall. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at. Somehow it looks like I have two windows open or something. I don't know what's up with that. Hey Fabrico, I was looking for you, man. I saw that you guys carry Ender 3 NG kits now. I would love to get my hands on one of those. I know you guys are doing pre-order. Expected to be April, I believe. Is that timeline shifting at all, or can I expect April for pre-orders? I'm close to ordering one. I'd like to, but I don't want to open a can of worms if that thing delays at all. I have an old Ender 3 over there I need to do something with, and I would love to make it an NG. And then maybe we can do a head-to-head comparison on the Elegoo carbon with that NG project and see how they stack up. Just in time to see it finish. That's the end of the print. Do the kits require an Ender 3 frame, or does it come with a frame? Both good questions. You think that's right. You have to ask Hector to make sure, but pretty sure that's the timeline. Great. Thanks, man. I'll probably reach out to Hector and make that order sometime in the next few days. I like, not only is it the kit, but it's also, you guys have the bed, and then you have the bed frame. One of the questions in the chat is, does it come with like the actual extrusion pieces for that main kit that you guys offer? Or do you need a donor Ender 3 for some of that stuff? I had that same question the other day when I saw you guys put it on the site. Cool. So printed 29 minutes, 47 seconds. So pretty accurate to what the slicer was saying. Let's pull that off of there. So it came out pretty good. Did you get the bundle or just the printer? This is just the printer, so the initial, the initial offering for these printers was just the printer itself. If you wanted the bundle that came with extra build plates, I think it came with some filament and some extra nozzles and things like that, then you had to wait. It was on pre-order. I don't need extra build plates right away. I'll get those over time. And speaking of that, this one is a little thinner than I'm used to. I like a thicker build plate. It holds heat better, but it is what it is. I didn't want to wait. I wanted the printer, so I did not get the bundle. I will get a spare hot end and some extra parts as time goes on, just to have those spares in case of disaster. Oh, hey, Shammy. I didn't know. I'm used to seeing you with Fabrico Shammy on your name, so I apologize. I need to reach out to you for a different reason. Specifically, let's see, wrong camera. Specifically one of these. So you probably don't know what this is. We'll talk offline, but I think I need your help. So thanks for identifying. I meant to reach out to you yesterday and I did not. I'm sorry. I was setting up for stream and doing some other stuff, and I lost track of time. But thanks. I reached out to Hector for all my other questions. Appreciate you being a good sport. Cool. So here's the Benchy, helicopter Benchy. Let's get in frame here. It looks to be good quality. I'm not seeing any crazy stuff. Now, this looks squashed, but that's how the model was. It's a shorter model altogether anyway. That small detail in the back came out pretty good. I'm not seeing a whole ton of like cooling overhang issues here, and that's a pretty low overhang. If you look at that from the side, that's a pretty low overhang, and that came out beautifully. So the cooling seems to be fine. Even the small details on the feet, the skids, that came out good without a lot of screwing around. That came out really nice. I can read the text on the bottom. So first layer squish is decent. I'm not seeing any ringing in the print at all. Dan Fabrico has a count. They have several. The bundle wasn't on the site when it first went live. Yeah, Nat7, that is true. We sure do. 999 of 1,000 is. That's good to know. That's good to know. But yeah, that's a pretty decent benching. Now, the ultimate test. Let's see if this actually screws in. So this is the small screw. That also printed very well. Those threads came out nice. Let's see if the tolerances are good enough. And this is a budget printer. Yeah, $299 for this thing. I think you order a 2.4 from Fabrico. Can't go wrong. I order a lot of stuff from Fabrico. And while they're here, oh man, that does screw in just nice. Look at that. That goes in just like it should. Kit is a conversion, reuse your Ender 3. Yeah, I think the question is, does it come with the extrusion? So on that Ender 3 NG project, there's an option to upgrade some of the extrusions to B4040 so that they're more durable, more rigid. Or if you're only using parts from an Ender 3, you would print some of those. And I think that is the question. Am I required to print those other parts, or does it come with the extra extrusions to use an all extrusion frame? Yes, 4 new extrusions. Good to know. Good to know. But yeah, I got a box from Fabrico off their clearance sale, and they sent me a whole box, a whole bunch of just random parts and pieces. A couple Galileo clockwork kits in here. There's some hot end stuff in here. Bunch of extra fans. There's some Trident motors. Some actual drivers, some 2130s in here. Thermistors and whatnot. I got all of this on their clearance sale. This whole box cost me less than 100 bucks. So good on you guys for always taking care of the community. You have another soon? Good. Yeah, your fire sale, I took advantage. I think I got almost one of everything that you guys had on the list, and several of the smaller items. But if you have another fire sale soon, you'll probably see another order from me. Is the Fabrico rep chill? Yeah. Yeah, Shami's a good dude. Think of all of those little circuit boards that you can buy on West 3D, KB 3D, Fabrico. A lot of those like fan joiners and LED things, and I'm trying to think, like your Kirigami stuff, the UFO, that type of stuff is what Shami does. He builds a lot of the PCBs for a lot of the projects that you would find on our in our hobby right now. He also has his own website. Shami, feel free to plug your site there. Actually, I'll just take you guys to it. So we go over to the Chrome tab and we look for Shami. Shami, I don't remember the actual name of your thing, so we're searching it, but XR Bunker, that's it. So if you go to XR Bunker, this is Shami's site. And this is the kind of stuff that he offers. And if you want to look at the full catalog, you can see all the things. So all of this type of stuff that you find for your 3D printer custom builds comes from Shami. And you can come in here and he has, so these GBB 15 boards, that was a project that I reached out to him and asked if he could do. And he did, and then ultimately released them on the page for sale. Now they're out of stock right now, but he hand makes all of these at his house, and will do some custom work for you. I think, I don't want to dime you out, Shami, but you guys do great work. So if you have a project, if Shami can't help you, I'm sure some of the other big name people can help. But I'd rather use local supplier, small business, and support him. So if you need any of these items, reach out to Shami. He can hook you up with what you need. Hard to keep in stock, yeah. Doron Velta is fire. Yeah, I've got one over on the left here, kind of behind the Trident. I need to reattack that thing and get it printing. But there is the assembled benchy. It does spin, so good tolerances on the circle. I just broke this, but I grabbed it a little too hard and I broke the little tail off. But good first print on the Elegoo CC Carbon. Yeah, pretty decent benchy. I'll give that to my kid so she can break it in the next 30 seconds. But if you guys don't want to see anything else on this, that's our first look at the machine itself. First impressions are good. Again, not a review. I purchased this with my own money. Not sponsored in any way. I'm giving you my unbiased feedback on this. If there's interest in opening it up and looking at the electronics, I'm willing to do that. But if not, and you guys are satisfied with the first look at the machine, we'll call the stream, and I'll push you guys over to Steve here in about 15 minutes. Otherwise, we'll turn the last 10 minutes of this into a chat and chill and see if we can figure out what we want to do for next week. Please strip it like a Vector 3D teardown. I don't know that I want to go to that far into it, but I'll tell you what. Let's take the the back panel off of it real quick. Let's do that. Main boards exposed. All right, let's go. Main boards full Monty. I almost dropped the keyboard. Trying to create some room on the desk. Take it easy, Shammy. See you, buddy. Well, I'll reach out to you in the Discord. I do need to get some custom work from you. Let's see. Have a great, yeah. Yep, thanks. Thanks for stopping by. Before you leave, if you're still here, like and subscribe. It helps the channel. All right, we got that spun around. This is the back panel. A lot of hardware. But we got our LDO tools. And that's a 2mm button head. I already like the back panel in this configuration than I do on my X1. If you don't have an X1 and you don't know what I'm talking about, but for those that do, when you take the panel off, it feels like it was kind of wedged on the X1. Like it doesn't fit exactly right, so the screws kind of force it into place. And so it almost springs back when you take the back panel off. I've had to do that several times, and it didn't ever really feel as premium as the rest of the machine. Is that a built-in filament chute? Yes. So it poops. Night Strike, it poops. But the back panel never felt like it belonged. It always felt forced into place. This one, the screws are coming out just like screws should. They don't feel that they were forced into place. And that panel is on there pretty nice. It didn't spring back or anything when I started unscrewing stuff. What I'm doing, I'm going around the edges, leave the top one in so this doesn't fall on me. That's one technique that I like to use when I'm taking stuff apart. And then there are two right here below the chute that I'm pretty sure, see, these are a bit longer. I'm pretty sure they're used for putting their little poop chute accessory on here. Yeah, and you can kind of see the loop, I'm sorry, the little tray I was talking about. So as it pooped that first time, it kind of sat right here on this lip. This sort of flattens out right here and doesn't allow that stuff to fall all the way out. So my plan is to put a poop chute on here, maybe wrap it that way. And one concern I do have though, if I'm being honest, as this thing poops, if that doesn't fall all the way out, there's potential it could back up in here and block the next stuff. P1P forever till you add the conversion kit and make it a P1S. Half price X1C. Yeah, I think I'd still just get the P1S out of the box then. I don't do like 3D&T, you know, man, I don't do a lot of PLA. I keep saying that, but it's true. I much prefer ABS, so I need an enclosure. But even if I were to do PLA, I need to keep the dust and stuff. This is a garage It's not completely sealed. It does get dusty in here from time to time, especially living in the desert. Oops, living in the desert where there's a lot of wind. It's very windy out here, so we get dust all the time. All right, that's the back open, no main board. So again, different than the P1. So that tells me all the electronics are underneath. I think I like that a little better. So the back panel itself is the back panel of the machine. Instead of having a back panel and then a bunch of plastic with a bunch of electronics here that are kind of sharing space with the chamber and getting warm, it seems that they have everything underneath. But that's the first look at that. I'm seeing some tensioners in here. Been experimenting with ASA, considering you're a high humid environment. PLA Plus gets wet easily in high. I think ASA and ABS are a little more resistant to humidity than PLA and your nylons and your TPU especially. Your PETG is probably a little hygroscopic, so you might want to either store that somewhere where you can keep it dry or dry it before you print with it. Wrap that back panel with your logo or whatever you want. You're already speaking my language, Low Snake. I plan to do that. In fact, I had some stickers somewhere. I put it on my mini PC over there, and then I put the stickers in a different location. I'm not sure exactly where I put them. In the drawer, maybe. One of these? No? I have stickers. I'm not sure what I did with them. They're around somewhere. I'll remember at midnight or something. It'll wake me up out of my sleep. You live in the South? That's why I moved away from the South at 18. Ooh, there's a little bit of like anti-vibration kind of sticker stuff on there. So it's at the top, that black line is kind of like a foam type thing. It's very thin, like 0.5 millimeter. And then same at the bottom down here. But that's that. I'm going to put this back on, and then we'll flip it over for the top half. Yeah, so it won't rattle, for sure. Just trying to do this with one hand. It's not working out. Come on, you can do it. It's having trouble finding the screw hole there. And that panel doesn't like to stay where it's supposed to be. Through the panel, into the hole. There we go. It would have been smart to do that from the get-go. You left the desert because too many Californians kept fleeing to other desert states. Well, I think you and I swapped places, man. I moved to the California desert, and it's a lot drier, but it's also a lot hotter. So if you guys don't know, my other hobby is fitness, and I'm always out running each week, at least twice a week, and I see everything from coyotes to bobcats to snakes on the road in the summer when it's hot out. Everything that you imagine that is in the desert, I get to see here at the house. It's keeps you alive, keeps you exciting, makes things different each day. But it does get hot, it does get dry, it will ruin anything that you leave outside. But it's great for filament. I think roughly 20% humidity when it's late spring, summertime out here. Oh, don't be sorry for me. It's not a bad place to be, in my opinion. The issue is, like, we're living out here, you're a little bit far away from things. So we have to go 45 minutes to the nearest store, like big store like a Walmart or a mall or Home Depot, Lowe's, any of that stuff is about 45 minutes away. It's not bad. It just makes, when you do stuff on the weekends, it makes you think about your time. So if I got to make that drive anyway, what else can I accomplish while I'm out there? The fan pack in between the belts, I'm assuming it's the chamber fan. Yes, there's a chamber fan here. So this is like the exhaust. It's a large, looks like 60 millimeter, maybe 80 millimeter. Yeah, 80-20 exhaust fan to exhaust the chamber. And then this one is an intake, like, I don't know, fresh air fan. There is on the inside of this, there's a carbon filter on the other side. Well, if you're happy, I guess, yeah, that's what matters. If you're happy being in the South, stay in the South. I do miss the pleasantries of the South, though. That's wrong hole. Never heard that before. Pleasantries of the South. When you see someone, you make eye contact with them. The proper thing to do is to say hello or good morning or something. I am from the South originally. Grew up in South Carolina, so I'm used to a lot of that kind of stuff and the hospitality that the South brings. So being out here is different, but I have lived away from home for, 18 years-ish at this point. I'm kind of from all over now at this junction in my life. I don't know that I'm going to resettle back in the South when I retire, but we'll see. It might be Canada. You're actually in South Carolina? That's awesome. I was born and raised in Charleston. My family still lives out that way. A lot of my friends are out there. I wonder if it'll be on the unenclosed one. What, the chamber, the fanny pack? It doesn't make sense. If they put it on there, it would be useless. Like, what are you filtering if they put it on the unenclosed one? I mean, everything is escaping through the fact that you have no doors and walls on it. So, like, what are you really filtering at that point? I think it's unnecessary and kind of a waste of money to invest in something like that. That's not going to go where I want it to be. We'll put it in later. Or maybe we won't. I think there are probably too many screws on the back panel. It could be for vibration and wobbling and whatever, but one of those is just not perfectly lined up to where it wants to go in nicely. I've been here for 20 years. They've really built up Charleston and surrounding areas. You might not recognize it. No, so I got to go back. So like I said, my family still lives out there. I visited in 20... Oh man, 20... I'm trying to remember now. 2018 probably is the last time that I've been home. And I didn't recognize it then. I got lost driving around from my parents' house to where I used to live. A lot of my friends still live in the same places, and I got lost going to visit my friends. It's a lot different. I agree with you. They built up a lot of things. Let's see if I can get this one in here. It is definitely different. But that's true of a lot of places at this point. There's a lot of gentrification of places and just industrialization of places that used to be in the middle of nowhere. So my parents used to live what was considered the country when I grew up. Not a lot around, but now, 7 minutes down the street from my parents is a Bass Pro Shop and a Target and an outlet mall and all this other stuff. So it's definitely growing. But that's what you get when you have like a BMW plant out there. You have a Boeing factory out there. All of that stuff did not exist when I was growing up, but it does now. And with that brings a lot of industry. It's good for those that like that kind of thing. All right, JPP, see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to open up the bottom panel on this thing because I said I would. But for those that are kind of hanging out waiting for Steve to start, he's starting about now. Feel free to go check out his channel, Steve Builds. I'm not exactly sure what the project is today, but before we finish, I do want to open up the bottom panel and take a look. Your eyes are all over the unenclosed one. An under $200 Core XY potential to be multicolor later on possible open source firmware once it's cracked fully. That open source thing, that's my projection. That is not a guaranteed thing that I've seen anywhere at all. I think it's going to be cracked. I can't I can't tell you for sure, and I turned that the wrong way. I was gonna lay it on the front, but the door's there. I was gonna lay it on the other side, but the filament is there. So we'll lay it this way so you guys can see what's happening. And we'll see if we can get this bottom panel off as easy as the top. Should be able to see that. All right, same M3x6 button head screws. And we'll see what kind of electronics are in here. Lots of venting. I can already see through the vent that there's a controller board there. Not sure what these holes are for, but it looks to be some sort of access, maybe a tensioner for the Z, and then a power supply vent. I can see through the venting that it's an off-brand power supply, so not a Meanwell or any of the other quality components. Unless anybody reads Chinese, I don't. Your opinion also, don't give a bunch of nerds a challenge to crack to get access. Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know that Elegoo is going to be as aggressive as Bamboo Lab in locking down their stuff, or at least I hope that they're not. I hope that they open it up so that we can put stock clipper on here and unlock a lot of additional features. Let's see, is it just me, or does it seem that every printer manufacturer is starting to take the Bamboo Lab approach? It's not just you, Night Strike. We were talking about that a couple of hours ago on stream. This machine is, we all know what the target is. Does that make it any less useful or good? I don't think so. I think it can stand on its own. We all know what it's going after. I mean, we can infer that, but if that were the case, you could say that about every vehicle that is made. Oh, the Mustang is just a clone or a copy of the Camaro, or vice versa. Like, so I don't know that that's the right approach to take. I think there's a proven formula in the market that sells product. People gravitate in general to that product, and it gets a good reputation, so other people want some of that action as well. And so they do their best to be like it without one for one copying it. And I think that's okay. I think there needs to be competition in the market. They have cracked Anycubic, so Elegoo is next. Good. I hope so. I hope so. At the very least, allow root like Creality. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope they allow root. That way I can get in there and put Calico and Danger Clipper on this thing. I wouldn't mind so much if I lost access to the screen. I would love to continue to keep access, but if I lost it, I wouldn't be upset. You got your K1 because of the ability to use Clipper after suffering with an Ender 3. I can't do Creality. I've been burned a lot on a lot of their machines, and I'm not keen to continue throwing them money. When they release a machine, they put out a K1, for example, right? Next thing you know, it's the K1S, and now it's the K1C, and then it turns into K2 Plus, and now we're at like a K1E, and so you end up with so many variations that the person who bought the original one, thinking it was good based on their marketing tactics, they bought the thing, and then they're kind of left in the dust with no recourse. So the only recourse is to buy the newer version of the one that they should have fixed in the first place. Because of that, I won't support Creality. And I say that knowing I have an Ender 6 over there. There's an Ender 3 over there. I used to have a couple Ender 5s. I can't do it anymore with what they do. The K2 looks great. The Creality High looks good. The whatever the Clipper-based Ender 3 is, I think it's the Ender 3 K1E or whatever. The naming scheme needs work. Those all look good to me, but I won't buy it. So looking at this thing, it's what we thought. There is one belt controlling the Z motor that we saw from the inside. There's these bulges look to be where they have the bearings and the screws. Sorry, the rods. the rods, so those are replaceable. I can take the screws out of this that looks to come off of there, and I can remove that rod if I want to. It's not molded into the machine. Nice cable management throughout with some metal bracketry to use as zip tie mounts. 5 K1 variations, exactly my point. You have the K1 and K1C. My buddy has a K2 Plus, and he's having issues with it right now. Like, he had to put aluminum tape on the bed just to make the bed level, and then route the machine to put specific firmware on it to make sure that the bed levels appropriately. You should not have to do that. Not everybody wants to do that. Biggest issue, they do not keep the firmware updated. Yes, exactly my point, which is why this should be open sourced, because at least I can update it if I want to. 3D&T, you said it looks to be MKS based. Maybe. The board is not labeled with anything I can see. You have a large capacitor here. Not sure what that's for. Obviously power here. It is unplugged and there's no wire in here, so I'm okay touching things. And we've had it unplugged for a while. No name power supply. Lian power supply. That's what you get, fully vented, small. It's a 124, which is enough to run the motors and stuff. So that tells me it probably has a mains bed on it. Powers in, whatever this is, some sort of SSR. I really don't know. I'm not a super electrical type guy. Thanks for subscribing, Jesus. Poncho lol. Love the tagline there. K1 is not that good without rooting and putting the good stuff on it. Yes. If a K1 was $200, I might do it, and then root it and do all the things that I would do to a machine. I couldn't recommend it for a new person to the hobby. But yeah, power in, power out to the PSU. PSU then goes to the switch up to the main board. No, sorry, I had it backwards. PSU is switched on, so main in, switch to the PSU. PSU 24 volt out to this. So the bed has to be 24 volt, and it doesn't look to be mains. But I do like that there's a tensioner for the Z here, so I can actually adjust it. That does not exist on the Bamboo Lab offering. So that is good. Touchscreen. Beefy heat sinks across all of the motors. I cannot tell you what those motors are, though. I don't know if they're 2209s or whatever. They're silent, and I didn't hear them, so it must be okay. There's a couple of chips on it. One with a heatsink I'm not going to be able to see. There's another, looks to be like a Wi-Fi chip there. Not sure what that is. But this, it's kind of like a Manta or an MKS, to where you have sort of a Linux type chip on there in addition to a 3D printer mainboard chip. Everything seems to be labeled though. So this is EXT. This one is, what was that? Heat bed. So the heat bed does look like it is 24 volt, not mains. Camera. That one is thermistor. This looks like a motor wire. Well, maybe not. All the motor wires are up here. Box fan. That must be the extruder. That one. And then this is your fan for the cooling here. So this is a 40-20 fan to keep the stepper drivers cool. And then everything else is with that lead screw, and that's tension exactly how I like it. Night Strike. It's tension appropriately, I think. My Bamboo I always thought was a little bit loose, but it worked, so I didn't worry about it. This is more tensioned than that. This is, I can get guitar string on that. So I would say it's fine. I can't adjust it, so it looks like I can just loosen those from below the panel. There were those 2 cutouts, if you remember. Like so. So you have the 2 cutouts, so you can get in there with an Allen key and unloose that. It'll tension with the spring tension, and then just tighten you back up. I do like that. It's the same on the X and Y motors that we saw in the back. So it does have that spring in there where you can loosen things up. It'll tension with a very simple spring, and then you can tighten them back down. I also like that a little better too, because if this ever wears out or you lose it or break it, you can replace the spring. It just kind of goes around a post on both parts. I mean, at the pre-order price on the Elegoo, I'm seriously considering getting one. If you need a printer and the things that you print can fit on a 250 bed, and $300 is not a lot for you, I would recommend it at first glance. Anything else you guys want to see in here before I close this up and end the stream? AC heated bed? It does not. I want to say it's a 24 volt heated bed. I don't see anything that would indicate it to be a heated bed. I don't see an SSR at all. Or actually, you're right. It is a heated bed. I'm sorry. Yes. Power in to the SSR. This is the SSR. I was so confused. Line out, that actually goes into the chamber. So it is an AC heated bed. PSU not large enough. Yes, you're correct. You're correct. Net 7. I initially thought that, changed my mind, and now I'm changing it again. Yep, so just for the motors on that one, SSR is here. I don't like that this is open. I would prefer a more normal SSR, but you get what you get. Shouldn't have any problems in here anyway with the panel on. So if you grab this to pick it up, you're not gonna, accidentally touch something you should not touch. I also love that it is labeled. All of the wiring is labeled. So back to, I think Zombie was making this point earlier. If you wanted to swap in a main board other than this one here, it appears that you can do that. You make a custom bracket here, add in whatever main board you wanted. These are all standard JST connections. So as long as the pinout is correct, everything is black, so you may have to figure out which coil is which. You could put in your own main board. You could use the same power supply. If you really wanted to, you could use the same SSR, or you could upgrade to a standard like Panasonic SSR. Reuse your outlet, and then everything else should just work. Tons of room to gut and refit. Yeah, tons of room. You do have the belt path to avoid. So maybe you got some space here. You got some space here. Something small over here. But you do need to avoid and keep clear of the belt path, which is why all of this is on a cable bridge that's metal as part of this. Turn it on? No, not with the bottom panel off. I'm not turning it on. I like my life. But if you guys have no other questions, we're going to close this up. And we didn't take anything apart, so everything should work as normal. Come on, screws. That's the one thing I'm having trouble with on this, is the damn screws. You take the panel off the one time and it just doesn't want to line up like it should after that. I can't even get it started. There we go. They're just so small. Check the voltage. Well, it's not on. What voltage are we checking? I live in America, so this is a 110 volt input. And then, of course, the power supply already is labeled as 24 volt. Your SSR is providing live mains power to the bed. So I don't need to check voltage necessarily. Not seeing any errors, and I mean we printed with it earlier. Is the switch? I didn't change any switches. There's no external access port to change switches. I think it's automatically switching. Yeah, so I'm not, I didn't have to change anything. We plugged it in, we turned it on, and it printed. I think, in my opinion, all companies should do it that way. It should auto switch. Like, it doesn't make sense to have your user, your end user, have to do another thing. So if I can alleviate that extra step for them, it just makes it easier for everybody. Yeah, no worries, guys. You like the stream? That's great. We're wrapping up. Put this bottom panel back on, and then we'll call it. So, for those that are sticking around through the last bit of this, what are your thoughts on what we stream next week? I still need to finish the box turtle. That's what we have been doing. But I do need to do some prep before we do that. Troubleshooting the Trident has not been as easy as I thought it was. As someone who's built PCs, I'm used to having to switch the voltage. Yeah, so when we build other printers on this channel, Night Strike, we will switch voltage. It's something that you just do, right? Like, you get used to it. I'm saying for someone that is not as experienced as some of the rest of us, having it auto switch is the preferred method. Just take some of the guesswork out of, hey, why does my printer not warm up fast enough? Or, hey, why when I try to home it shuts down? Things like that. It switched automatically to 230. I'm on 110, and it worked at 110. Does it go to 230 automatically? I don't know. I don't know. There was no indication that in the manual or otherwise that I needed to check voltage anywhere for any other location. If I look at the tag on the back, it says the rated voltage is anywhere from 100 to 240. So it leads me to believe that it's auto switching. And there was no switch on the side for me to flip. I get what you're saying. It's ridiculous. People would have to switch from 230 to 110. Yeah, I don't know that it's ridiculous. I think it's just kind of one of those things nobody really ever thought about based on availability and whatever. So, like, if all power supplies up to this point were not auto switching and you just had to switch, it was just another thing. But now that that exists, there's not really a reason why you shouldn't include that instead. All right, so that's another stream in the books. I think we're gonna get back on Box Turtle next week unless someone wants to do something specific. I do need to finish up the Box Turtle, but I do have a couple of hours of work left on the Trident. We finally got the firmware rebuilt, and it was working fine, and now it kind of is not, but nothing changed. So I'm thinking that the Pi is just getting undervolted. It's a regional thing. US uses 110, but outside everyone. Yep, tracking. So if you're using a single power supply, it does make sense to have the option depending on where you send it. That is true. Air, watching whatever I stream. Box Turtle sounds good. Thanks for the feedback, 3D Wolf. I do want to get that project done. I need it off the desk so I can move on to something else. I have 2 other projects that I'm really, really wanting to get after, and I am resisting the urge to start multiple projects at the same time. So getting the Box Turtle completed and done and working, I need that to happen. Most out-of-the-box printers are from countries that use 230. Yeah, because they come from China mostly. Keep up the prints and streams, will do. Appreciate that. Finish the Box Turtle. Pellet extruder on a printer finally, yeah. All right, so we went about 20 minutes over this week, and I love it. I love all the questions. I love the engagement. Thank you guys for coming out this week and participating. Thanks for the suggestion on what we print for the very first time on the Elegoo Carbon. So you guys have been great. Thank you so much. We're gonna end the stream here with the caveat that we'll be back next week, roughly 10:15 Eastern time, 7:15 Pacific. So if you guys like the stream, please make sure you click the like button and you subscribe so you get notified when we do this next week. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your Sundays. Be nice to each other and do something fun. I think that's going to be the tagline. Do something fun.